It's time for Twit This Week in Tech. We're joined by Motherboard's Caroline Haskins, Daniel Rubino from Windows Central, and our own Micah Sargent to talk about the big event coming up for Microsoft. You might be surprised by all the things Microsoft's introducing. I know you were surprised by the many devices Amazon introduced. We'll pick our favorites, including a dancing bear. And we'll talk about Facebook's new social network for people without legs. It's all coming up next on Twit.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Twit This Week in Tech, episode 738, recorded Sunday, September 29th, 2019. The Twerklight Sonata. This Week in Tech is brought to you by Wasabi Hot Cloud Storage. Thinking about moving your data storage to the cloud? Wasabi is enterprise-class cloud storage at 1/5 the price of Amazon S3 and up to 6 times faster, with no hidden fees for egress or API requests. Calculate your savings and try Wasabi with free unlimited storage for a month at wasabi.com. Offer code TWIT. And by Rocket Mortgage from Quicken Loans. Rocket Mortgage makes the home buying process work for you. Their award-winning client service and support will help you every step of the way. So get started online today at rocketmortgage.com/twit2. And by CashFly. Give your users the seamless online experience they want. Power your site or app with CashFly's content delivery network and be 30% faster than the competition. Learn more at twit.cashfly.com. And by Worldwide Technology. Worldwide Technology's Advanced Technology Center is like no other testing and research lab with more than $500 million of equipment. And it's virtual, so you can access it 24/7. To learn more and get insights into everything the ATC offers, go to wwt.com/twit. It's time for Twit This Week in Tech, the show where we get together with the best tech journalists we can find on short notice and talk about the week's tech news. No, I'm kidding. In fact, Micah, you've been booked for at least 15 minutes. Welcome.
Yes,
Micah Sargent, now of Twit, very pleased to say, formerly iMore, he at Chihuahua.coffee, and which isn't really a job, it's more of an adventure. And and now you're on iOS Today and Tech News Weekly.
Yeah.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
And Micah's going to have a big announcement a little later on in the show. Brand new show from Micah Sargent. We're going to tell the world.
Exciting.
Also joining us from Motherboard, that's how they say it in Long Island, Motherboard and Vice, Caroline Haskins. Hi, Caroline.
Hi.
Good to see you.
How are you?
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
How's things in Motherboard land?
Good. Yeah, things are good. We love the motherboard.
We do love the Motherboard.
We love the Motherboard.
Consistently, I think the best reporting, especially on security topics, anywhere. Mm-hmm. I really love what you guys do, so keep up the good work. Speaking of good work, from Windows Central, Mr. Daniel Rubino, he's the executive editor and apparently has more controllers than you and I. What is it, your controller collection?
That's like a quarter of it, maybe. There's quite a few of them out there. So I don't even play Xbox that much. I don't have the time, but I do like the controllers. What can I say?
Okay, interesting hobby. Yeah, okay. Are you excited? I presume you're going to go to the Microsoft Surface event this Tuesday.
Yep, October 2nd. Basically what is turned out to be an annual Microsoft event now will be happening, and we have a lot of reason to believe this will be the biggest event out there since 2015.
That's Wednesday. I apologize. Don't go there Tuesday.
Yeah, I'll be there Tuesday, but yeah, definitely tune in on Wednesday for it. We'll be streamed live. So.
Yeah, and we're going to get up early. I'm not going to be here because I'm going to Boston for a LastPass event on Thursday, but I don't know who's covering it. Are you doing it, Micah?
Yeah, I'll be there.
7 a.m., right?
7 a.m. 7
Our time, 10 a.m. in the East Coast.
It will be Micah and Aunt Pruitt.
And Aunt. Oh, nice. Yep. So what do we expect, Daniel? This is where, is it Centaurus? Is that where Centaurus is going to debut?
Yeah. Centaurus, the dual screen folding Surface device that they've been working on for a few years. And perhaps just as importantly, we're probably going to see Windows Lite or Windows Core OS, the brand new operating system designed for this new advanced hardware that they're pushing with this device.
Is it ARM hardware or is it Intel hardware?
This, we have reason to believe, will be Intel based.
Okay.
That said, we'll talk about this in the Microsoft segment, but we are expecting a ARM Surface device as well.
Guess what? This is the Microsoft segment right now.
Now, if you want to go right into it, we can do it. All right.
We don't do this stuff in order. What are you talking about? We do have a lot of stuff with Amazon. There's Facebook, but as long as we're talking, let's talk about it.
All right. So I got to be careful here. I basically know everything that they're going to talk about.
Now, do you know that because you have great leaks, or you know that because they told you and non-disclosured you?
Great leaks. Microsoft, as far as I know, doesn't do NDAs for this, except if you're like probably The Verge has probably already got 5 hands-on video shot because they always get preferential treatment. Most media outlets don't, though. So no, this is an NDA.
I also was offered, not from Microsoft, but from a well-known leaker, pictures of something. But I feel skeezy looking at that stuff. It's like tech porn. I don't want to see it.
Yeah, from my perspective, it makes my job easier knowing what's coming, but I also don't want to ruin everything for people tuning in Wednesday, especially because, the Surface team puts a lot of effort into it. And this day and age where literally everything is leaked now months in advance. It doesn't matter if you're Apple, if you're Google, if you're, it kind of ruins it. So I want to keep some of this under lock, but I'll just say that, the leak so far we've heard about from other sources too has been Surface Pro 7. So this is going to be, this is a stable refresh, right? This is internalized hardware will be upgraded, likely 10th gen Intel, but the form factor and overall design is going to remain the same. We are, however, expecting, and I can confirm that it will switch from a mini display port to Type-C.
Oh my God, I'm going to faint. Because even Thurrott thought they would never do. Now, when you say Type-C, is it Thunderbolt, or is that too much to ask?
That I can't confirm. That we don't know yet. So a lot of the actual details about the hardware we don't know, but I can tell you it's Type-C. Now, they also are keeping the Surface Connect port, which I've heard it's probably not Thunderbolt 3, and I'd rather tell people it's not, because if it is, then
we'll be happy.
Yeah, then you'll be happy.
But even the Surface Go had a Type-C port that you could use for USB 3.1 and charging. Right. As well as a Surface connector. So that wouldn't be a revelation. It's really the Thunderbolt 3 we're looking for.
Yeah, and I'm mixed on this stuff. So I have a lot of devices that have Thunderbolt 3 and a lot that just have Type-C. What most people are looking for is the Type-C. They want power delivery. They want to be able to charge it. They want to charge their devices. They want display out. They want that functionality of a universal port. Thunderbolt 3 is cool, but you're talking, now for powering maybe 2 4K displays at 60 frames per second, right? That's cool, but you're talking a small percentage of the population, especially Surface owners who are doing that. Same thing with, I always hear the people chime in with, what about an external GPU? And I love eGPUs. They're super cool. But, come on. Most people are not investing in eGPUs these days. That said, I would never turn down a device that has Thunderbolt 3, but because they're keeping Surface Connect, I'm not sure with the PCIe lanes how that balances out, if they're able to do it or for what. But
does the Connect have that fast of a interface for data?
You can basically think of Surface Connect as their Thunderbolt 3. It's pretty close to it. So you're talking, it uses its own amount of PCIe lanes. But let's just assume it's just Type-C 3.1. We'll find out there if it's Thunderbolt 3, but I'm assuming not.
Thunderbolt 3 is a 40 gigabyte per second. Right. And it is peer-to-peer. USB is not peer-to-peer. It's a master server client, and it is at max 3.1. I think it's 10 gigabytes per second. So it's a quarter of the speed. It's not as flexible. You can't do as much with it. But you're right. I think probably most users 10 gigabytes per second. Oh, that's fine. I'll take it.
Yeah, I think for most users, they just want that Type-C universal port. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. So that's Surface Pro. Surface Pro 7, honestly, is going to be probably the least interesting thing in this event, because even though it's kind of their flagship product, like I said, we're not expecting a big redesign of that until 2020.
And just to be, for people who haven't seen it, I think everybody has, but it's a tablet that has one of those floppy Alcantara covered keyboard, minimum key travel keyboards, which I'm not a fan of.
I actually really like the Surface Pro keyboard. I find typing on just especially because
it's better
of the
than the
angles.
Mac keyboard. I will grant you that.
Yeah.
It's really great when you eat like Cheetos and then you swipe
Rub it on the Alcantara.
It's got like a nice patina on
You have a
there.
picture at Windows Central of Panos Panay showing. Actually, I remember this is from last year where he stole Paul Thurrott's laptop and I didn't give it back for a long time. But interestingly, if I blow up the picture, I feel like this is the Zapruder film. You see here, you don't get a great typing experience. I don't think that's the full message they're trying to give out, but I just want to point out that 1.5 millimeters of key travel is not great.
Not a great typing.
I think they're comparing it to a MacBook,
which is
that
really
time.
awful.
Yes, because that's the Surface laptop, which actually, I'm going to go on record, and I've said this already, that the Surface laptop's keyboard and typing experience is still the best of any laptop ergonomic.
Better than Lenovo, better than a full travel.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I get Lenovo. Lenovo's super good. I love Lenovo and HP. I think they make both excellent keyboards, and they're what's cool about them is they feel very different from each other. It just depends what you prefer. But in just terms of overall ergonomics, because of the way the palm rest works on the Surface laptop, because of the aspect ratio, it's just in my mind.
But
perfect.
the palm rest is covered with Alcantara.
But so that leads us nicely to Surface Laptop 3.
They have to have an option not to have Alcantara on my keyboard.
Leo,
I like the laptop, but I didn't want.
Granted.
Really? This is for sure?
Yeah, we're hearing for Surface Laptop 3, the 13-inch version will have optional Alcantara.
Caroline, have you ever had a fabric-covered wrist rest on your laptop?
No.
Let me tell you. You haven't lived. Yes?
A long time ago.
You haven't lived until your wrists are floating on Alcantara.
It's so soft. It is a nice experience compared to metal.
It is. It's a little of a disconnect from the hard-edged high-tech world.
Yes.
You feel like you've got a grass-covered laptop or something. It's just like a little odd.
I think I'd like some turf on the laptop.
A little turf.
I'd have to buy some.
I prefer grass to Alcantara.
Yeah.
There's also and I don't know, have you used a Surface laptop for a long period of time? Because I only used mine for a few months. But I would imagine it doesn't wear that well.
So it depends. The one you see that picks up dirt the most is the silver one with the gray Alcantara.
Yeah,
that one gets dirty if you don't clean it.
I like the burgundy.
You get the burgundy and the cobalt or the black. Yeah. It definitely wears way better.
Oh, okay.
So it really depends from that. But so what we're hearing is that there's going to be an option for Alcantara this time, which means also in theory, they could lower the price, right? So maybe it's $50 cheaper without Alcantara.
You mean I'm paying for that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Or being Microsoft, they could be just charging you more for the Alcantara and still make out. But yeah, Alcantara is a trademarked fabric, right? It's a proprietary cloth. So
now the rumor is it's going to be AMD, not Intel, based on this new Surface Laptop 3.
If you notice, I said the Alcantara is optional on the 13-inch, and that's because we're also hearing there's going to be a 15-inch version announced. And that 15-inch is going to be likely the AMD version. And the reason that makes sense is because that would have integrated Vega graphics. And so Vega graphics doesn't quite get you gaming level NVIDIA RTX or GTX. It's not that, but it's better than Iris Plus and a little bit better than the MX150s that are out there. So it'll sit nicely in there in terms of video editing, photo editing with a more powerful processor, and that kind of. So that's what we're hearing for that. We don't have the specifics on the actual model numbers and all this, and there could be one rumor came out that there's actually a range of processors, whether it's 4, 6, or 8 core. So pricing could start as low as $1,000, but goes all the way up to around $2,400. But it gives them their flexibility. You can basically buy which Surface Laptop version suits your needs.
I feel like Surface Laptop didn't get the credit it deserved. It was nice and thin and pretty, but it just didn't seem. Did it sell well? Do we know?
Yeah, I think it does do well. I mean, they've obviously are making a third generation. And when I've talked to the Surface team before, their goal is always to get to version 3. Version 3 is basically when it all comes together for them.
This is the one.
And so because they've learned from the market what people want. For instance, we're hearing Alcantara is now optional. That's from feedback, right? But yeah, they have sold well. The problem with the Surface Laptop is it's a traditional laptop. So Surface has traditionally been associated with these new category devices, and this is a straight up laptop, but I would argue it's it has all the fundamentals about it, makes it one of the best Windows laptops out there.
It's very elegant. I think it's a nice, elegant, simple, clean line laptop.
Trackpad is good. Audio is good. Display is good.
There's a rumor that it will not have Surface Connect, but just USB-C for charging on this one. I don't know that for sure, but it too will have some sort of Type-C port as well. So mini display is finally going. What happened to the Surface Book? We're due for a Surface Book 3. That's the one with the clothespin hinge that you can detach the top.
Right. Yeah.
Always had problems.
Yeah, there are some issues people have, specifically right now. They're trying to solve some issue with the GPU being disconnected, but we're not hearing Surface Book 3 for this event, which means the good news, if that really bothers you, is Microsoft tends to do spring events too for Surface, so it may not be as big. For that, we were thinking maybe just a refresh, again, internalized hardware, 10th gen Intels, which at least at that level I don't think are out right now anyway. So it'd be kind of premature for them to announce. But you probably switch to RTX graphics and some minor improvements. But we're not expecting Surface Book 3.
Will they update the Go?
Go is not, we're not expecting that for this event either. So
I really had high hopes for the Go. It's nice and cute and small, and it's like a Surface Pro, but it's teeny, and it's also kind of slow. It's kind of not.
So this is the fundamental issue with it, which is the processor. Now, I would also say the bezels are a little bit thick, and so they can fix that. But we're also the Surface Go came out in July of last year, so it's not that old of a device. Okay. So it makes more sense, I think, for our spring. But getting back to that processor issue, so it uses Pentium Gold, which I remember when they told me that, I'm like, even I covered this.
What is that?
What is a Pentium Gold? I've never, and it's a weird low end processor, and the issue here is there's nothing. I can't tell you what else. If they were updated tomorrow, what would they replace that with? I don't know. There is no other Pentium Gold, as far as I know, or some chip in that price range.
As I remember, Intel made that for that device, right? They've actually made it.
Kind of. They had some Pentiums around, and I think basically they're
hold open a drawer,
spray paint them gold, little Rust-Oleum, and you're good to go.
I think they were going to go with Qualcomm, and Intel was just like, take these here. Please. We'll give you here. And I think they cut them up probably a really good price on them.
They were better than the Qualcomm-based ARM processor Windows machines,
and better than Atom. Yeah. Atom was the other thing that
So it wasn't awful. I love it. It was so cute. It has LTE in it. It just was a very nice portable travel device, but it's just a little too well. Well, it looks like they've got a really good lineup of things to announce. Surface Studio, they're not due for an update on that yet, are they?
No Surface Studio. But that leads, so Surface Go probably next spring. I do expect them to switch to Qualcomm probably at that point.
Interesting.
Unless Intel has something else out there. But we're hearing, a 7CX. The problem is they got to keep that price point, right? $399. And so you can't put a Core processor in there, Intel Core, because they're too expensive. Yeah. So they got to find something that could meet their needs there. And I think the Qualcomm may work better, but we'll have to wait and see. But so this now gets into, all right, so what's new? Why am I saying this event is going to be so big? So
Centaurus and Windows Light.
Well, besides Centaurus, we're hearing a new Surface. Think of a Surface Pro, thinner, lighter, thinner bezels. Think of something that looks like an iPad Pro,
okay, Johnny,
but with a kickstand and uses the keyboard, but it's going to be running a Snapdragon 8CX. So
very interesting. That's ARM, of course. Yeah. The 8CX is Qualcomm's supposedly desktop class. So these other devices were on the 855, which really was underpowered for that. Right. The real benefit of anything running on ARM, though, is battery life.
Instant on. This thing will never go to a hibernation mode. It'll be like the iPad where you just hit the power button and it just pops on the screen. Always connected to LTE, of course. Really good battery life. And I've seen this thing. It looks really nice. And I expect this design is going to be what Surface Pro will turn into in 2020. But you're going to see it for the Qualcomm version, which if you think about it, it kind of makes sense. Microsoft's you're going to see this thing and you're going to kind of want it because it's going to look really hot. Like I said, think of an iPad Pro, but with the kickstand and the Surface type cover. And they have a new pen system. I won't ruin the pen system here. It's kind of cool, but they're changing it up a little bit for this device. And so you're going to see this thing and you're going to kind of want it. And that's going to help, I think, push people to adopt it. And then next year, they'll probably update the Pro version and Pro users will get it. So it's a good way, I think, to funnel people to ARM, which, I think once Microsoft does this, it will really say, we're serious about ARM. And everyone should be like taking a look at this stuff now. And so that device for me is really what I'm excited about, because I actually do like using the ARM devices. Snapdragon 850 is actually okay. The 8CX, though, is supposed to perform like an Intel Core i5 8th generation. It's supposed to be a pretty good processor.
Wow.
So, yeah. Now, of course, Intel's on 10th generation, and I've used some of these, and they're really good. But Core i5, for a lot of people in this form factor, I think is actually pretty ideal.
Is this Microsoft going after Apple?
I think this is a little bit, looking at the iPad Pro and going against that. ARM is the future for a lot of mobile devices, and they're moving towards there. I think you're going to see this bifurcation of computing, where you get to these light, thin devices running ARM that are always on and instant, and then you're going to have more heavy-hitting devices that run beefier processors and have GPUs for people that need to do localized computing. But as we move towards cloud computing, stuff like Windows 10 on ARM, and this goes into Centaurus, makes more sense because everything starts to be in the cloud. Like right now, a lot of people want hardcore processors and GPUs for gaming, but Microsoft is about to start beta testing its xCloud service for doing game streaming. So that solves that problem if you think about it. You could actually have a thin client device and playing your Xbox games without having to have expensive, heavy hardware.
Right.
And so that's a really interesting transformation. So I think that will be like the main announcements. And then I think there'll be this sort of, one more thing, right? And they're going to start to talk about the future of form factors and the next thing coming in computing. That's where you will see this foldable Centaurus device. And I should say foldable, it's not Samsung
It's
foldable.
a two-screen device. It's not a single
It's
screen.
dual screens with glass. They're glass screens, so they're not going to be plastic. I mean, as much as I love Samsung Folds, and I give credit to Samsung for pushing out there. I mean, if you read the reports, right, if you drag your fingernail on it, you could damage the screen.
Nice.
I mean, that's
really
like,
boy.
that's, know. But if you have glass screens, you don't really have that issue, right? Plus, you can use a pen. So this device, we don't know the size of it. It's between 10 and 13 inches, possibly. Dual screens, folds up. It may reverse fold too, because it has a special hinge on it. But this thing will be pen first, basically, as the input modality for it. And it's going to run this new version of Windows, which has been built for this. And it's not Windows, traditional Windows 32, the classic desktop, shoehorned into a new form factor, which is kind of what the old Microsoft would have done. This is, think of iOS with Chrome OS mixed with Windows, and that's what this is kind of going for. And it should be pretty awesome looking, but you're going to see a device that helps redefine a category. And I think a lot of people will be like, I don't need that, or I don't know how to use it. But that's always what's cool about new form factors. And so this will be good for note taking. It'll flip up and you can use a keyboard on it. And so it's going to have a lot of, I think, cool things. And you're going to see other OEMs pop in on this, right? Lenovo already showed off its literal foldable device back in June. That's coming out around the same time. It too will run this operating system. So you'll see other OEMs jump on this stuff, but it's a new exciting way to think of computers as smartphones become limited in what they can do. And so I don't know, it's going to be, but they'll tell the story, right, of what we expect, and we'll hear a little bit more about this operating system. That said, we don't expect this device to launch until spring or summer 2020.
It's so interesting to me. This almost feels like, Caroline, it feels like a rebirth of Microsoft. Like this event will be a coming out party for a Microsoft. I don't usually think of Microsoft as innovative, as design forward, as trying new things. And it feels like this event will be kind of like that. You agree?
Yeah, I don't know. I think what you were talking about in terms of like having like making like gaming specifically something that could like be performed on like a smaller, more mobile device. I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah,
that's
that'll be
what everybody's doing that. Google's doing it with Stadia. Microsoft's xCloud comes out this year, right, Daniel? It's imminent.
Yeah. It's going to start beta testing on Android next month.
Sony bought Gaikai so that they could do it with PlayStation. I mean, everybody wants to do this. The idea being because everybody's got one of these in their pocket, right? A smartphone in their pocket. And the idea is you should be able to play your game anywhere you are, and it should be AAA titles.
Well, to have to go and buy all this hardware all the time, to go out and spend a bunch of money to get upgraded to the latest thing.
Console gamers will do that. PC gamers will do that, but that's a niche.
Exactly. And so to give some of that possibility to folks who are a little bit less tied into that, I think is good. But I wanted to touch on what you said, Leo, about Microsoft sort of this being an event where they step out and show that they are doing something new. I've felt that since the studio was released.
Since Satya Nadella took over the company.
That's fair too.
It has been a completely reinvented company, but it's been in drips and drabs, like the studio.
So you really feel this is going to be like
this? Sounds to me from what you just described, Daniel. They're going to be throwing like, try this. What about this? We got a triangular one. We got a round one. We got one shaped like an egg. Whatever you need. And how long has it been since we saw a new version of Windows? I mean, Windows 10. Is just like Windows 7. It's just like, I mean, there's not, it's an incremental improvement. Windows Lite, what is that?
So from what we understand, so the actual name is Windows Core OS. They call it WCOS internally. Windows Lite is also its internal name. We don't know what its official public name is, so I throw that out there as Windows Lite. I don't think that's going to be its marketing name. We'll probably find out hopefully this week. But this is a new operating system built, just like how iOS was built for conceptually this new form factor, new devices going forward.
Is it going to look as differently as iOS does from macOS? Is it going to have a start menu?
Kind of. It's not a start menu like in Windows 10, but there is. So there's some screenshots already that have kind of come out that show what it looks like. You can think of it, it looks more traditional like an Android or iOS launcher, app launcher. So we're not talking live tiles anymore. They're getting rid of the live tile thing for this. These are just static app icons that people know. It looks like it has a centralized launcher. You hit a little button, it pops up in the middle of the screen. You pick your apps. It's very clean. It's very minimalist looking. It uses a lot of what we've already seen with the Fluent design system. So a lot of acrylic, a lot of like sort of see-through elements. It looks very fresh and modern. It will be always updated. You don't need to, right now with the Windows update, you get the update, you get a notification, you got to restart the PC, it installs. That doesn't really happen on iOS and Android, right? It's a lot faster of an update. Well, that's how this is going to operate too. So this is them bringing the best of Windows, but to a modern system without all the legacies. Because the problem with Windows, as it is in desktop, is anytime they try to get rid of something, they're just what it looks like. Anytime they try to get rid of something, people kind of freak out, because people still are on Windows 7. And so this gives them an opportunity to really start fresh and allows them to jump onto modern computing systems with a new look that sort of brings the best of Windows. So from what we understand, it can run Win32, but it's primarily going to be universal Windows platform, as well as their new technologies that they've been doing around there, like WinForms and everything. It can run Win32, but it seems to be part of that containerized systems that they've been building like around Linux. And so you'll be able to run Win32 as a fallback, but it's not meant to be a primary, because Win32 app development is basically dead, right? It's totally legacy.
I wish Win32 were dead. I mean, I think to some degree that's where all the security flaws lie. That's where all the issues lie.
Are you telling me Windows Lite is going to get rid of Patch Tuesday?
Or it'll just be these updates that just come through, right?
Every day.
That breaks my heart a little bit.
But it's not going to be this legacy code that they need to maintain, and it's going to be lighter. It'll be faster, and allows them to create an operating system built for these new ideas of hardware, which is like a dual screen device. Because you can run Windows 10 on dual screens. Some of us have 3 screens, right? But for a small foldable device, you can do cooler stuff, including, focus and moving things around with the pen. And so this is going to be where the magic kind of happens, where they really are trying to focus on the user experience built around this. So this is going to be, I think, super exciting. And you're right, this is sort of a new Microsoft. This is them not trying to catch up to the market, which is the issue with phone and, even Zune, right? Zune was a total response to the iPod. This is them trying to get ahead of the market, get ahead of the curve. And we already see this is where it's going. Smartphone sales plateaued 2 years ago, and now they're actually dipping. I believe IDC just put out how this quarter they're expecting one of the sharpest drop in smartphone sales. And so that market is matured right now. So now the question is, all right, in tech, what comes next? Is it smartwatches? And so you're seeing these companies push 5G and foldables and dual screens, and this is going to be Microsoft's take on it without necessarily going after the phone market.
That's a hard thing to do. I mean, Microsoft foisted tablet computing on us with Windows 8 and 8.1, much to their chagrin. Mm-hmm. It's hard to predict where the world is going with technology. I think often it's such a paradigm shift or discontinuity from what has gone before that I really don't expect any big company to be able to figure that out. It's going to come from somewhere unexpected. And yet, I got to say, this is a really revitalized Microsoft with a whole host of interesting new products.
And it doesn't feel too spaghetti.
It doesn't.
Project.
It feels fairly coherent.
Yeah, everything makes sense, and they're kind of trying to tackle every category, it seems.
The biggest problem they have is Windows, honestly. And I think Windows Lite or Core OS is an interesting attempt to, it sounds to me like strip it down to the basics, make it more robust, get rid of some of the excess stuff that was causing problems. Really, the hardest thing for Microsoft is legacy. Did you see, we talked about it on Windows Weekly, the video that the former Microsoft programmer posted on YouTube, in which he said this is...
Talking about the bugs. Yeah, Barnacles. Yeah.
Barnacles. This is the problem, he says, with Microsoft is they fired all the testers. That's true. We know that. And they're relying on telemetry. They're relying on automated systems and the Windows Insider program to find bugs, to fix bugs, to figure out what to do next. And that's, I think he makes a strong point. I think Paul agreed. Clearly a failure. You agree, Daniel?
I wouldn't call it a failure. I will say definitely has a lot of room for improvement. That said, the industry is going that route. We were just talking about this with iOS this week internally. We have a bunch of us use iPhones. I got the new iPhone 11 here.
Apple has also, I mean, they're now at 13.1.1.
Exactly.
There are so many bugs in iOS 13, that even though it had a massive beta test.
Yeah. And so I haven't experienced those, but I read those headlines too, right? And so they're doing this open beta stuff, and yet it seems like they have more bugs than ever. So, the problem is the industry is going down this route. It is, in a sense, Microsoft, to their credit, kind of gave what people wanted, which was this stuff kept leaking out. Early versions of Windows would leak out, and then they would get feedback from those leakers, but they were in a weird position because it was an unofficial version. So all they did was say, like, oh, you guys just really want to beta test this stuff? And
so this was more a concession to that than it was an attempt to find out.
Sure. I mean, you think about it now, Microsoft doesn't get up on stage and go, for next year, this is what we're doing in Windows 10, because it's already been announced in the Insider program. We've all been testing it. So it's taken that out.
But it feels like, I have to say, it often feels like stuff that the insiders reported that were known bugs still make it into the shipping version. This has happened with 1903. It happened with 1809. So it doesn't feel like the insiders program is actually a good feedback loop for Microsoft. It feels like either they're ignoring it or they're not getting useful signals.
I think this is where they need to, and they are always tuning the system. I mean, it's weird because it's the first time this is being done at this scale. And if you think about it, it's kind of a crazy system. So I do believe that.
Maybe they're getting too much information. They're just.
And how do you measure that? How do you prioritize it?
You have 2 million beta testers, most of whom have no idea what beta testing even means.
Why do I have this?
You're not going to get valuable signals back from them about real bugs. But they're still missing some massive flaws. I mean, I don't know.
Well, on the other hand, the argument goes that Windows 10 is the most secure version of Windows.
Oh, they say that every time.
Yeah.
Is it true?
I mean, coming from I think coming from IT departments who don't do the advanced insider stuff and usually are a version behind, they do get a lot more power and flexibility on this stuff. And from what I've talked to some IT departments, they actually enjoy what this is. But I think we can all agree they can definitely improve there. I don't think it's going to go away. Maybe they'll. But again, as Windows 10, it's going to be around for years. I'm not saying they're going to get rid of it. Obviously, it's legacy.
They say it's the last version. They say it's it. This is it.
But you're going to start to see them push with Windows Core OS, new form facing devices. Don't forget.
So maybe that's Windows 11.
That's how they're going about it.
That's how they're going to do it.
I mean, that is going to be the future for them. You're going to, because you look at Chromebooks. We all laughed at Chromebooks years ago, including myself.
Yeah.
And now Chromebooks are, it's starting to look a little serious, right? In education especially. Yeah. So they did Windows 10S, which was... That was a Band-Aid. That wasn't their solution to Chrome OS. That was like, we got to get back into this market. Let's lock down Windows 10 a bit more for schools and IT departments. But Windows Core OS will eventually replace that. And if you think about where Chrome OS has done well, Windows Core OS is built exactly for those kind of markets. And as consumers go more towards these devices, it starts to make sense, because then you don't need, everything's going to be up in the cloud. Eventually, we will have cloud operating systems, right? And 5G will play a role in this. But we're still years from now from that happening.
Oh, that's depressing. Caroline, if I walk into the motherboard offices, I'm going to see how many Windows computers on the desks there. I think
it's probably 50-50.
Is it?
Ooh, wow.
Oh, I was going to say 0. Really?
I think, there's, let me think.
That shocks me.
I just use my laptop. Yeah, let's see.
And you're using a Mac. I'm almost
least,
guaranteeing it, right?
I'm on a Mac.
Yeah.
Person next to me has one. Let's see. No, wait.
Somebody in the chat room said the only people who use
PC.
Windows are the secretaries in the offices at the business suite. I don't know if that's a fair thing to say, but it is a businessy. It feels like here, the people who use Windows are for the most part in the business office.
Yep.
And so motherboard.
Don't
I'm
trust
surprised
anything
because
I say. I'll be honest. I haven't paid that close attention.
I would think reporters would mostly use Macs. If you go you watch on Wednesday. If they ever do a shot of all the people at the Microsoft event,
it's gotten better.
They're all little white glowing apples all over the place.
I'll actually say it's shifted quite a bit.
Has it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they'll show. You can go out, watch those events, and you'll see there's actually quite a bit of those devices out there. And a lot of reporters are using the ARM devices now. They're starting to switch it because people they want LTE, right?
LTE battery, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Windows right now its strength is business, enterprise. HP has EliteBooks, Lenovo has ThinkPads. Those do very well. And gaming, I'm running a Core i9 HP gaming rig that is just 64 gigs of RAM.
No question. If you're a gamer, you got to have Windows.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just, and that's one of the few areas of PCs that never hit that when PC sales are dropping. Everybody's like, oh, it's a post-PC world. It was gaming PCs just kept pushing through all that. And it's gotten even more huge. So, but yeah, I mean, that's the past still, right? So what we'll see on Wednesday will be sort of the future of where Microsoft is going. And yeah, to Nadella's credit, he decided to cut back on markets where they clearly couldn't compete in, usually in the widespread consumer markets, and are trying to go into markets where they can define that category first. Right. And that is way harder. Yeah. So,
well,
also I should mention Surface earbuds. We are hearing those will be there.
Oh, everybody, even Amazon announced earbuds.
I know Amazon has them too.
Everybody's got earbuds. We'll talk about Amazon. Actually, 25 some new products.
Holy moly, 80 new announcements.
A crazy,
25 new
crazy
products,
story.
That is throwing spaghetti against the wall.
They're definitely throwing spaghetti.
But see, we'll get there.
We're going to get there.
I'm going to talk about their spaghetti.
We're going to talk about earbuds and spaghetti in just a bit.
Love them both.
That's good stuff. Brought to you today by Wasabi. That goes well with your spaghetti and earbuds.
Indeed.
Not that kind. Not the green ball you get next to your sushi. I'm talking Wasabi Hot Cloud Storage. It was created by two guys I know pretty well. David Friend, who was the former CEO of Carbonite, Jeff Flowers, his CTO. They actually, when they did Carbonite, they invented a new way of writing to hard drives. They patented it too. Lays data on disks sequentially as opposed to in blocks. That gives you big speed up, big efficiency improvement, and that's kind of the incentive for them starting Wasabi. They've moved on from Carbonite. Jeff and David now have a new startup, Wasabi, that is truly amazing. Look, you talked about it already. We already talked about it. People are going to be moving to the cloud. I can make the argument, I think it's nowadays in the days of ransomware, a very good argument, that your cloud storage is safer than your on-premises storage, and the hard drives in the closet and the server. Those are the ones that are going to get bit by ransomware. The place to put your data, the place more businesses are going, is the cloud. By 2025, according to Gartner, 80% of enterprises will have shut down their traditional data centers. 80%. So the question is, well, where do I go? Now, everybody just says, well, it's obvious. You go to Microsoft, Amazon, or Google, one of the big three. And Amazon is like 3 times the size of the rest of them. I want to just add a fourth name. I know, it's going to be hard to bring to the boss. Well, let's not do those guys. Let's do Wasabi. But just add this to the list and show the boss the benefits. For instance, Because of this revolutionary patented process, they're 80% cheaper, 1/5 the cost of S3, 6 times faster, and they don't charge for egress. S3 charges for egress. They don't charge for API requests, and they use the same S3 API. So really, it's plug and play for you. It's easy, but you get so much more. 11 nines of durability. You can designate some storage, and you'll want to do this in this day and age of ransomware, as immutable. That is, nothing can change it, even a malware process running rampant in your computer. That storage on Wasabi cannot be messed with. Data center redundancy, of course. It's HIPAA compliant, it's FINRA compliant, it's CJIS compliant. It is really going to be more secure, more reliable, more robust than your on-premises storage. It even does integrity checking on your data. Every 90 days, all your data is checked for integrity to make sure that not one bit is flipped. Wasabi's amazing. Calculate for yourself and start a free trial of unlimited storage for a month. Go to Wasabi, W-A-S-A-B-I, wasabi.com, and make sure to use the offer code TWIT to get a unlimited free trial for a month. Wasabi.com. Cloud storage costs 1/5 Amazon S3. Free egress, faster, better, more secure. Thank you, Wasabi, for your support. Wasabi.com. Thank you for supporting TWIT by using that offer code TWIT. Amazon was just, I wish we could. Did anybody here go to the Amazon event? I wish we could have gone to that.
I did not.
I did not.
Yeah, I was in Seattle. I know you guys are on the East Coast, but the only person I know who's there is Stacey Higginbotham from our This Week in Google show. She filed a long report, Stacey on IoT.com, on all the things.
She also came on Tech News Weekly to talk
Oh,
to
did
us
she?
about it. Yeah. So she
good.
was on just this last Thursday.
So what was her impression? I mean, this is, it wasn't streamed, so we couldn't cover it live.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to know and what I found interesting is that Amazon actually started the show without announcing any products at all. In fact, they started like the first 10 minutes of the show were just talking about privacy. We're talking
Well,
about,
that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Since the next hour of the show was putting microphones in every orifice of your home.
You got holes, we've got microphones.
I mean, but I guess it is smart from the start with privacy. It's just I don't know how credible that is.
Yeah, well, and what was interesting is kind of not just privacy, but also sort of becoming more comfortable with these devices and trying to limit confusion. So they, along with talking about how
But they announced a plug socket with a microphone on it.
Yes.
And a light, so you'd put it as a night light.
But this is how,
and then you could talk to Echo from anywhere.
But that's how Echo works. That's the
I guess.
whole thing.
If you have Echo, you're all in on Echo, right?
Well,
if you've got a microphone in the living room, might as well put it in every room.
Right, exactly. And so the point here, though, is that now they've got this thing set up to where you can have your voice recordings automatically deleted every 3 months. You can ask Alexa to play back a voice recording that just happened. And one of my favorite features is the fact that now you can say, "Why did you do that?" So
wait a minute, what?
So
this is the picture Stacey posted.
There you go, yeah.
Echo, why did you do that? I do that to Siri all the time, but she never answers.
She doesn't know.
What are you talking about? You found a web search for open the pod bay door, Al. What are you talking about?
This is great. So, for example, say music just starts playing randomly on your Echo, and you turn to the device and you're
all
like,
the time, by
what the
way.
heck just happened? Why did you do that? And it could say, well, that's because this device
You told me to, Leo.
started Bluetooth streaming to this Echo Tower.
So,
it's kind of,
we'll give you that's useful.
It's a snitch now, basically.
It's a snitch on the other devices.
Yeah.
Well, okay, you cover security, Caroline. Do you have an Echo in every orifice?
No, I have 0 smart devices.
See,
in my
I
house,
rest
so
my
I don't
case.
have, like,
If you work for Motherboard, you don't put that stuff in your house.
No. And I have friends that do. It just like, I don't know, it makes me uncomfortable. It makes me feel like a little bit less at ease in their house, which makes me sad. But
I was going to ask if you tell them to block the sound whenever you come over. Can you hit that mute button, please?
Do you? When you go to
and
your
that's
friends' houses, you tell them, I'm not coming in unless you turn off that thing.
I don't. I just say like, oh, that's interesting.
How interesting that you would allow Jeff Bezos to listen to everything you say. How interesting.
Yeah, and I'm thinking a lot about the products that are marketed toward children and the certain protections that they're trying to introduce about that, but it doesn't really seem like it's solving the problem there. Like, as I understand, they have some sort of feature where you can communicate with like other parents that have like Alexa compatible devices for their kids. I forget which article this was in.
They're already being sued by some parents for targeting children with ads. So this is already on the docket.
There's that problem that hasn't been resolved. And I don't know. I just keep thinking about the fact that, like, let's say you have like a kid who does like a play date over the house of another kid's house, you know, and there still isn't that. We would have to really re-socialize our like people as parents in order to be asking those kinds of questions about, like, you know, whether there are devices in their house. Because if the other kid, for instance, like, let's say you're a parent and you give your kid, you know, an device, you know, like that's your decision as a child. But if you're sending your kid over to somebody else's house, is that even a discussion that different parents are having?
No, of course not.
Different parents are having.
Yeah,
it's
right. Like, what are your kids' allergies?
If you come to my house,
you have Echo devices in your home?
If you come to my house, I have Echo, I have Google, I have Siri.
He actually has this robot that comes around and asks for your social security number. It's weird.
I have cameras everywhere. In fact, when you come to the front door, there's a Nest Hello camera doing face recognition on you. It tells me there's somebody I don't know at the front door, or it says Michael's at the front door. It knows. And in fact, when you sign up, I've mentioned this before, it says you should consider local laws when you set this up, but nobody probably does. I feel like it's a great security feature.
I hadn't thought about that, though, in terms of the parents. That's a big thing. That's a big thing.
Nobody should send their children to my house.
No one should send their children to an Echo house. Well,
right. There's that aspect of it. And, you know, the thing I think about a lot is, like, if you're a child growing up and that's a part of your household and that's something that you are like growing up socialized to trust and interact with, I mean, that's going to be shaping your entire attitude toward like what sorts of privacy trade-offs you see as acceptable for the rest of your life, because that's what you've been raised on. That's what you understand. And, you know, is that trust misplaced? I mean, that's up for you to decide. But I don't know. That's also something that I think about a lot.
Honestly, I gave up. And I think most people gave up and just say, fine, I'm going to take the convenience. I don't think that putting that burden on the individual user is really the right way to do it. This is what I think.
Yeah.
I see.
Because nobody's going to pay that much attention. B, people aren't going to want to give up these features because of some unknown, you know, cloud of uncertainty about privacy, because we don't really know what's going on. This is what I'm going to just start a campaign. It's got to be legislation. It's got to be federal legislation. And it's a very simple thing. Companies that collect information about you with them. We just learned, by the way, a big study. Ars Technica had this story. I'm sure you did too on Vice, about TVs spying on you. Even if you don't have a Netflix account, if there's Netflix on your Roku's sending information about what you watch back to Netflix. They have a microphone. Some TVs have cameras. They are observing what you watch. They say, oh, he just left the room. He's not seeing this ad. And they're sending that all back to advertisers. What I want is legislation that says if you collect information of any kind about users, you have to disclose exactly what you collect, how you collect it. There's a microphone. There's a camera. What happens to that information? Not merely how we store it, how we secure it, but who you sell it to and what they do with it. So what happens to that information? And there should be an opt-out, at least an opt-out button. I think maybe by default it should be opt-in only. But let's say companies say, but that's how we monetize. We give you free Gmail, so we can't do that. But at least there should be a check mark. And that disclosure should be very clear. I mean, I think Apple does this. And it shouldn't be in a 400-page terms of service.
That's the problem.
It needs to be done clearly, simply. What data do you collect? How do you collect it? What do you do with it? Opt in or out. And
the ability to delete stuff.
Yeah, I think deleting's great.
Which they're offering now, at least. Almost all
Echo
these companies now are giving that ability.
Because they got
I think
caught.
Amazon announced that too.
Because they got caught.
Yeah.
Well, and I think
it kind of depends what that means, though, right? Because like they do keep certain bits of information even after you like delete recordings. And that was the thing with the kids' devices too. Like, oh, you can set up your kids' recordings to be deleted, but then like they still exist somewhere, or the transcripts still exist, or something to that effect, you know?
I don't think the burden shouldn't be on users. The burden shouldn't be on lawsuits. It should be in law, and it should be enforced. Now, that may be asking an awful lot, but I think that's the right way to solve it.
And I think that's the right way to solve it, because what we have at this time is a situation
It's a free-for-all.
where no one, the everyday person does not care. I remember talking to a friend of mine around my age and saying, that TV that you just got, you know, you might want to get this TV instead of this TV because this one doesn't have smart features. Well, would I want the smart features? Well, this is what's happening and it's tracking you. Well, I don't care. I don't care that it's tracking me. There's a lot of apathy surrounding our privacy protections. And so we almost need that law in place too for the folks who don't quite get it when it comes to what we're giving up in whenever we say yes to all of these different privacy policies. And so if we're kind of not protecting ourselves, or more importantly, kind of like you said, Caroline, that we've kind of been even now have been socialized a little bit to be okay with these things, and it's only getting more and more as we put these rainbow striped Echo dots in in little kids' rooms. We're only going to be more and more comfortable with these devices, but if we're not protecting our own privacy, then I think there need to be laws in place to help us with that and help to sort of combat the apathy that's there.
And look how far things have shifted since 2012, I believe it was, when Microsoft announced the Kinect for Xbox. And people freaked out. They were like, I'm not putting a camera and microphone in my living room. Microsoft, of all the companies, Microsoft has always been pretty good about data protection of users. At least they don't monetize like Google does. But they got a lot of pushback from that. People didn't want a camera. 7 years later, these things are just normal now. You know, they're in every room. And then Amazon just announced a bunch of stuff that was just like, it borderlines on ridiculous. It's just like, well, we're going to do it in a Ring now because we can, you know.
Yes.
And it's just like, we've never had that conversation. I'll also say, you know, Facebook culture contributed to this. You know, we went from, I don't want my name listed in the yellow pages, you know, and people would take their names off. And we went from that world to people posting intimate details on Facebook with their location and photos and family, like voluntarily. Like, that is, to me, absolutely insane. But it happened within just a couple of years. And, you know, that was the old joke, right? About, you know, FBI used to have to investigate people, and all they had to do was create Facebook. And like, now you can monitor everyone. Yeah. And it's like, now afterwards, we're having this discussion, but it's almost too late. And so
it is for me. Believe me, everybody knows everything about me. So, So let's talk about all the new convenience devices that Amazon has introduced.
Where do we start? A Ring?
They put a clock in the dot.
I like this. Okay, so this is one thing where
exactly.
No, I have to give Amazon credit, because the one thing that I see them doing is, yes, they're throwing all these spaghetti projects out there, but they're actually paying attention to what their customers are doing with these devices.
Well, this is actually kind of interesting, because as far as we could tell, they killed the Spot. That was the little ball
with the clock
that looked like a little alarm clock you put on your bedside table, but it had a camera in it. And nobody wanted it.
Not on their bedside table.
On their bedside table.
Yeah.
So as far as we can tell, the Spot is gone, but this kind of is the replacement. So no camera.
No.
It does listen.
Well, but the most important thing here is they saw that with these Echo dots without the clock, the most common question that the thing would get asked is, what time is it? So they're like, well, let's put a clock in it. And it turns out that the microwave oven that Amazon announced is kind of almost like let's see if this works. No, it does. Oh. They were like, let's just see if this works. It ended up becoming a super popular product. And so they've gone all in now. They've got a convection oven / microwave / all this stuff.
This is what Amazon's really good at, right? I mean, what are they? They're a data company.
Yes.
And the commerce is supported by all the things they know about you and your use of their products and other products.
Sometimes they'll get rid of a phone that they made that was not a hit, and sometimes they'll make a microwave oven that's a.
The Fire is years ago. I don't think Amazon would make that same mistake. I feel like Amazon, they might try stuff, but I don't think they would go all in on a Fire phone in the way that they did. I think they know too much.
I mean, phone is way more infrastructure, right? And it's so much difficult to get into.
Yeah. Well, Microsoft learned that lesson, didn't they?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Billions of dollars later.
The funny thing though about all the Alexa stuff, we talk about them being successful with it. And in one sense, they are. Obviously, they're releasing all these devices. But fundamentally, wasn't Alexa supposed to be about ordering Amazon products? Like, it was supposed to be this way of interacting with Amazon.com on a different level so people would order more stuff. But I believe there was a report, and it might have been Vice that covered that, that only like 2% of users actually use these devices to order stuff from Amazon. So from that perspective, I do see these things as like not necessarily successful in their original intent. Instead, they've become alarm clocks, timers, and jukeboxes, right? That you just play music on them. And I guess some people with families, use it to communicate with each other. I still find that weird, but sure enough, So I do question how much money they make off these because they sell them for so cheap. It almost seems like at cost. So, they're making it some other way through monetization of data, presumably, but we don't know necessarily all the details there. I wonder.
It made my family switch from Spotify to Amazon Music.
Yeah, me too, because that came with it, and it's easier and blah, blah, blah. I feel like Jeff Bezos is obviously pretty damn smart. Mm-hmm. And I think Jeff looks at this as a long-term investment. Okay, as long as they don't lose a ton of money on this stuff, and I'm sure they don't, what could possibly be wrong about having all of these devices in people's homes? I mean, this is, even if he hasn't figured it out yet, but this is classic Bezos. I think this is what they did with AWS. Somebody said, Jeff, we got all this server, stuff we don't really use fully. Well, let's try this, see if we make some money. It now makes more money than anything else Amazon does. Jeff, we could actually make a thing that responds to voice and tells you what time it is and does timers. What do you think? Let's try it, see what happens. I think Jeff is pretty strategic.
They buy the grocery stores, and then they have these Echo Buds that you keep in your ears, and you go to a Whole Foods market and you say, "What aisle is the milk on?"
Does it do that?
Yes.
Oh my freaking God.
Yes.
That's weird.
They just are drawing all these connections.
I don't have to talk to a human anymore. I could say, "Where's the milk?"
It's literally
to the left,
she,
Leo.
her.
I do that in Home Depot all the time.
God.
What?
Wait.
I use their webs. They don't have it on. If they had that on a voice assistant, I would love it.
Yeah, their app is really good.
Oh, I'm buying the Buds just for that alone.
I use their website to find.
And by the way,
find stuff rather than talk to a person.
Now you don't need to pay so many people to be in the store. In fact, honestly, you don't really need anybody.
Yeah, you just walk in.
Yeah, it's happening all over the place. Yeah, I mean, my movie theater recently got rid of the ticket sales counter. You have to buy it at concession now.
No way.
Oh, yeah, that's my theater, too. And if you buy it online, you get the barcode. You just shove it under a reader.
You just walk in.
You go to theaters still? Is that a thing you do?
I just saw Rambo 8.
I just saw that yesterday, too.
I didn't realize people
The movie was
did that. amazingly
bad. I loved it.
I haven't been to a movie in a while.
Neither have I. We're together on this. Actually, Caroline, I wanted to hear your take on Sidewalk, because this is kind of a creepy thing where Amazon's trying to just blanket the entire United States with its own wireless protocol.
Yeah, it started with a dog tag. Mm-hmm. They say we seeded the LA area with what? How many did they put out there? Not that many, like 100. And we were able to cover the entire LA basin with this low-Ra WAN. Oh, no, it's not low-Ra WAN. It competes with low-Ra WAN and Sigfox. I just wanted to say that. Oh, yes,
my cousins, low-Ra WAN and Sigfox.
Yeah. It uses the 900 megahertz band. It's a low bandwidth. It's kind of replacing these Bluetooth trackers with its own kind of low bandwidth tracking device, and it's a mesh network. So that's the whole idea. They were able to put these all over the LA basin, and they had complete coverage. I'm trying to find the...
It wasn't like up to a mile, I think.
Yeah, so anywhere your dog went in LA, thanks to the 100 or so they put out there, they could track. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, until they start using it on humans who go into Whole Foods.
Yeah, I don't know. This just raises alarm bells for me. I mean, obviously... Like, I don't know. I'm thinking a lot about, I mean, I've reported a lot about like Ring specifically and the way that like this is an Amazon product that's been able to like expand its customer base, like in part through doing like local police partnerships all around the country. And I feel like if like working on a local level and moving outwards, I think this connects here. I don't know. It just.
Caroline, I replaced
Really
my
like
Ring because of you, you know.
Really?
But I replaced it with the Google Nest Hello camera, so I don't know.
Oh, no.
I don't know if that was a net gain.
Not a solution.
That's the one that does face recognition. But at least the cops aren't involved.
Well, it's not like Amazon is selling. It's not like Amazon is selling face recognition to the cops or anything.
That's true.
Wait.
And here's the thing that people don't acknowledge a lot about Ring. I mean, they have been working on developing like in-house facial recognition, not like REKOG, like not Amazon's brand recognition, but like their own brand of facial recognition. I mean, that's been in development for like a couple years, and it's not like a public-facing product yet. Right. But currently, I think the way it used to be was that like anybody's footage could be submitted for like testing, and I think now they only use the things that are posted on Neighbors, which is like the
caught.
app.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Neighbors. Right. So Neighbors is also a problem, and this is the thing that kind of creeped me out. So when you have a Ring doorbell and you have the Neighbors software, Neighbors can say there's a guy, almost always an African American, oddly enough. There's a guy walking around the neighborhood, you know, looking into windows and stuff. And so it really created this terror, even in Petaluma, this terrorizing, and also felt like kind of biased. Scare stuff, and it happened all the time, you know. And that kind of was another reason I got rid of it. It kind of creeped me out. At the same time, I could see why people wanted that. Now that's opt-in, isn't it?
Right. So the Neighbors app, you don't have to download it, but you also don't even need a Ring product in order to download it. And it's compatible with other security devices. So theoretically, like if you have like your Nest footage, you could still post it on Neighbors, even though it's not a Ring product. The whole idea, what's interesting is that like you can sort things into a couple of different categories on Neighbors, and 3 out of the 5 categories involve like suspicious person, unknown person, or stranger. And so all of these things seem to be like, it's literally like the structure of the platform encourages people to like assume the worst about the people that they capture on camera.
That's exactly
you know?
Right.
And there's a culture of just like, even if you're not sure, post. But what does that feed into people's ideas about like what their neighborhood is, or if it's safe, or like who they should trust, or who is considered like maybe not a part of their neighborhood, because they call it a neighborhood watch. And that's one accurate way of looking at it, that everybody who uses the app is automatically inducted into this digital neighborhood watch.
Digital cult,
but I think like a better way of putting it, like almost closer to like a gated community, you know, because you're determining like what sorts of like behaviors and people belong and who doesn't. And even like relatively like normal behaviors can automatically be spun into something that looks a little bit more suspicious. For instance, I don't know, like let's say I don't know, I experienced this. If I'm looking for, you know, an address and I haven't been there before, I walk up to the house and I realize I'm at the wrong address. I've seen footage, and it's, I mean, honestly, normally of like people of color, often men, you know, they go up to the door and it's like, oh, are they checking out the house? Are they like scoping it out for like a robbery?
Right.
It's like, no, they almost definitely are not doing that. And very rarely will people actually push back on that. Often people are just like, call the police.
Yep.
You know, that's the automatic response.
It's a vigilante thing, and it creates terror. It really does create terror.
Yeah.
Karsten, is your mic on?
Yes, my mic is on. I actually had wanted to posit a situation in which this might be useful. There was a shooting outside my son's high school this Friday.
Oh my God.
And I know, like, we're not that far from the high school. What if the person had run past my neighbor's enabled Ring doorbell? Like, that's
no
kind of a
one's
good
saying
thing.
there's not value to this, but I completely agree with Caroline because I had the same kind of feeling. It creates this general low-level sense of, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. And we already have enough of that in this world.
It's called mean world syndrome.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, the overall
Stranger
concept
danger.
of as we take in media and different bits of news that make us feel like things are bad, then we start to see the world as bad and scary.
Yeah.
Mean world syndrome.
And it's really happening, and it's thanks to 24-hour news cycle. You watch a lot of news. What does news report? They're only going to report terrible things.
Right, and it didn't used to feel like that because we weren't reporting on,
well, you're only watching half an hour a night.
And you think that what's happening way, way far away from you is also happening right next door.
Right.
And so then you add on top of that this low level, like you said, anxiety about, ooh, who's supposed to be here? And for me, I don't know half of my neighbors already, so how would I know who actually are my neighbors and who aren't?
Actually, you're the one they're complaining about.
Yes, absolutely. Have you seen me? Of course I am.
You're the one they're saying, I don't know who this guy is, but he's been walking around
this
our
lanky brown guy walking around
complex. You're the guy.
I think in terms of the shooting question and in terms of crime, I think that like it's honestly, I mean, it's one of their selling points, especially in terms of like these police partnerships, because it is a situation like, oh, well, if I can actually like help solve this thing, why wouldn't I? But I think the important thing to keep in mind here is like the actual infrastructure that makes that possible. So for instance, like if a police department partners with Ring, they get access to a tool that allows them to like blanket request footage within like a certain geographical area, and they don't normally, a lot of times you would need like, for instance, like a warrant to obtain this. And the way that the Ring app works, it's kind of like an alternative of going door to door in a sense. Like it's an alternative to going up to someone's door and saying like, oh, can I have this footage? And in one sense you could say like, oh, well, isn't this sort of platform that allows police to do it just like from their computer, isn't that just like, you know, making it more efficient, helping this process work faster? But I think there's also an argument to be made that there's certain protections that are built into things working at a pace that is perhaps a little bit slower. Like, do we need to speed up the process of asking people for their personal information to like hand over to the police? Like, is that something that we necessarily need to speed up or automate or change or disrupt in any kind of way? And I guess it sort of depends on your perspective about that. I don't know.
Here's the problem. This has happened without a public conversation. This is a backdoor way for police to put cameras everywhere, but there hasn't been, but it's kind of in secret. It's being done home by home without any public conversation about what's happening, any agreement that, yes, this is something we want. And of course, I don't blame the police. This helps them with their enforcement. But we also understand that in this country, there needs to be that conversation, that the public needs to be in control of what the police are doing. And this has all been done kind of behind the scenes without anybody's knowledge. And in fact, Ring has been enforcing NDAs and secrecy agreements with the police. They know that if people knew about this, there'd be some upset, but they make sure the police aren't allowed to talk about it.
I would also just throw a conversation. I do have like Ring products, and like, I don't put cameras in my home just because I find that weird. But having cameras that face out from my home or my backyard, I do have those. And
me too.
Personally, I like them because I get a lot of packages, and you know, people literally drive through neighborhoods. They follow UPS trucks, you know, and they run up and grab stuff. I'll also say though, there is this concern about, you know, the police and having access, and I agree we should definitely have that conversation. I mean, CCTV in the UK is this big thing, right? Everything's recorded. You even have people right now, we just record each other all the time. And it happens all the time now. Where
you can't get away with anything because there's going to be somebody with a smartphone making a video.
This is recorded?
Yeah.
No, we don't record any of our shows. I just want everybody to feel better about that. Yeah.
But also say conversely, it also helps against police too. There was some footage that came out recently of some police knocked on their door, and they were investigating, I believe it was a 13-year-old, and they said the door was open, and so they came in without being invited in, and they took this kid and they put his arm behind his back and cuffed him.
And we got a record of it.
Yeah, and he wasn't arrested. There was no crime. But the video clearly shows that the police abused their authority here. It was only because they actually had a camera facing, it was actually not their front door. It was inside, But it goes to show you that you can also protect yourself. There was also another video footage recently. Cops came up. I believe an alarm had gone off, and a guy came down, and he had a gun. It was his house. It was his gun. He had permit, and the police shot him. And it was all caught on his own security cameras. Now, he survived, but we have a visual record of that, of the police overreacting in this situation. And so there's pros and cons to I like the idea sometimes if police come to my door, I actually don't mind having them recorded because I don't trust the police, even though I have a system that could aid them in case I do need help. So
this is complicated. This is a complicated thing.
Nuance.
I guess my main point is it should be done in a public discussion, and it should be done openly. It shouldn't be done secretly. It shouldn't be done by a big company like Amazon without really
That's the other issue,
stitching them all together without really telling anybody, without getting public consent. This is the kind of thing that shouldn't be done in secret. It should be done with all of us involved in the conversation. Anyway, that's my thought.
Right. Yeah, it's true because none of these partnerships have been done in such a way where there's been like a public feedback period, for instance. Like these are all, and it's built into the contracts that the terms of the agreement aren't supposed to be made public. And that's the case with pretty much all of those communications. Yeah. And I think in terms of like not having cameras on the inside of the home, it's interesting because that's a line that a lot of people seem to draw. And in terms of catching the police on camera, I think the important thing to keep in, it's interesting because I've heard that argument before I reported a story last year from Baltimore. And do you remember when they had like the aerial surveillance program and they didn't tell the people before they started doing it? So there was a group of people, they still are like lobbying for that program to come back because they say, oh, well, we don't trust the police. Yeah. There's documented cases of misconduct. And if we have this objective eye in the sky, that's it. If we have this objective eye in the sky, then maybe this could be used like not just for the police's purposes, but to protect us. Wow. But of course that relies on that footage being used in a system that is going to like work in the favor of people that specifically say that the system has never worked in their favor. So like we are adding things that are making this We're adding things that are making all of these processes work quicker, but are they actually working better? Like I think that's the question that we have to be asking here, or at least thinking about,
Yeah, I think there was a report recently about body cams where, there was a big push for them. I support this idea because it does have this, the police are recording their behaviors. But then there's manipulation of these cameras, right? All of a sudden, cops are turning them off during certain contested arrests and instances, or the footage gets lost, or or we don't get access to it. It comes out 6 months later, So like, they're definitely when they control the footage, and that's a problem. But it is this weird situation where the fact is when people are recorded, it tends to result in better behavior, which is like I was in China recently. The place operates like a machine. Yeah. It's like, but I mean, what are they trading off in terms of freedom for that, right? They have a very authoritarian government. And so
this is something that should not be imposed. This is something that should be the result of a long conversation with
public discourse. There should be public committees. There should be involvement with a community, involved with the police. Yeah. They both get access to this. That's the problem I have with policing in the United States right now, which is that it's too separated from the communities, and people don't get involved enough and don't have a voice within the police department. And it's it's a problem.
Yeah. Let's take a break. When we come back, there was one product at this Amazon event that I think everybody's going to want this holiday season. You have it? Yeah. Okay. Micah is going to get it, and we will demonstrate in a moment. But first, a word. I didn't even know you had it. From Rocket Mortgage, do you have the house? If you're house hunting, you know that the hardest part about buying a house is buying the house is that big check you're going to write. You need a mortgage, but finding the right mortgage can be hard. Actually, it's going to be easier now that you've got Rocket Mortgage. They're doing more to help you understand the home buying process so you can get the mortgage that's right for you. It's not just any old mortgage. It's not a cookie cutter mortgage. This is your mortgage. That's why the team of mortgage experts at Rocket Mortgage are obsessed with finding the best way. Their number one goal is to make the home buying process smoother for you. Award-winning client service and support every step of the way. I know everybody says award-winning. All right, let me tell you. J.D. Power, customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination, number 1 9 years in a row. Number 1 in customer satisfaction for mortgage servicing 6 years in a row. That's called award-winning. For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rocket Mortgage from Quicken Loans is changing the game. Using online lending technology to make it easier for you, millions of Americans have achieved their dream of home ownership with Rocket Mortgage. It's just so cool. When you work with them, you're getting more than just a loan because Rocket Mortgage is more than just a lender. Read the reviews. Look at J.D. Power. Then go to rocketmortgage.com/twit2 and take the first step toward that home of your dreams. Get started online today at rocketmortgage.com/twit2. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Push button. Get mortgage. What was your, was there a favorite item before we get to our favorite item from the Amazon event? Did you like this idea of a plug socket that adds Amazon Echo to every plug in your house?
Wow, my dream.
Your dream come true. You know what, Caroline?
Yeah.
I know what's going to happen. It's going to be like a waterfall. A dam is going to burst, and you're going to go from 0 to 100 devices.
Wow, that'll be the day.
That'll be the day. There's a new.
I'm thinking about the Echo Loop. I keep thinking about that. I don't understand this.
No.
Okay.
All these I don't get any of this.
What the Loop is a ring, which is not, oddly enough, a exercise ring. It's a titanium encased ring that has a mic and speaker in it. It doesn't measure your footsteps. It just is a way to talk to Amazon on your finger.
And take calls, apparently, if you really want to look weird.
Well, now I've taken calls on my Apple Watch. It works, but it's...
But I mean, that goes back to like cartoons and Dick Tracy, right?
Dick
Like
Tracy.
In our heads, we have that. But
It's
the ring,
kinda
it's like,
cool.
you have to do this. It's
Hello?
Like,
Hello,
it's so
Mom.
weird.
I'm talking to you. What, Mom? No, that is very weird.
Also,
This
who
is
takes
a-
calls anymore?
This
Come on.
This is an yeah, right. This is an invitation only, $129, and I'm gonna guess it's going to be one of those pieces of spaghetti that falls off the wall. I don't see this. Turn on your mic. We can't hear you. So,
Yeah, I don't really see that being successful, that product in particular. I think that the Echo specs are going the right way.
Sure.
They're spectacles. If you look at them, they're pretty thick. I almost ordered them. I almost signed up for them, but I don't know. I don't know if I want to.
I like what North is doing. I think is super impressive in terms of wearable and glasses.
I haven't seen those. What is that?
Oh, so North, they look just like those, but they actually have a little heads-up display.
Oh, yes.
And,
I think
and they-
Anthony has those. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have a little ring that controls it. And where they are in terms of making that product is way ahead where I thought the industry would be. And such a small startup has basically done that. And where Google kind of failed with Glass, right? So I do find the wearable space and glasses really interesting, but just having a mic and a little speaker in there for Alexa, I don't see the value as much as whereas having the little pop-up display. I mean, that's really where this stuff is going.
I don't want to see my notifications on my heads-up display all the time.
Right.
Do you? I mean, that sounds.
But could you imagine?
really
Like, this is going to
annoying.
be the world we're going to live in, right? You're going to walk around. You're going to look at someone. It's going to Face ID them. It'll bring down
Yeah, this is the
information, probably
future.
from LinkedIn,
Yeah.
and you're going to know everything about them. And for some people, this is actually going to help, right? I mean, this is. The problem with humans is we're fundamentally flawed. Our brains are limited, and we want to. As soon as we can become cyborgs, we absolutely will. And it's like we could talk about it now, but just like how people are talking about, we need to have laws about having sex with robots because they're going to do that.
No.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's a thing in Japan. They're already having this conversation because that's where that industry is moving towards.
Look, if you want to have sex with robots, I think you should be allowed to have sex with robots.
People are marrying robots. I mean, it's like
why not? It's not who's getting harmed here, the robot.
Exactly. But so like that's where this stuff is going towards. So I think what North is doing is interesting. But I mean, if we don't like Ring right now, like I don't think.
There's no camera in these focals, right? The North by
no, not yet.
So
that's where they differ from Google Glass.
Yeah, it's for output only. Now, we are attempting at this point to get our Amazon twerking bear working.
Oh my God!
This is from the same company that gave us the big mouth Billy Bass last year.
Oh my God!
Let me give him a microphone.
Oh yeah,
you have it.
I think it's only like $13. Actually, it's pretty impressive.
No, it's $40. Come on.
By the way,
is it? I saw it for 13.
Wait, no, this is $10.
$10.
It's 13 right now. I paid 10 for Jimmy.
See?
By the way, stay tuned this coming week to Hands on Tech where I reviewed Jimmy.
He's twerking. His little. I guess that's twerking.
Yeah. That's all.
He's shaking his booty.
That's all the twerking right happening there.
That's it. And he also lip syncs to Amazon Echo.
Yeah, so I can say, Echo, what? No, wait. I don't know.
It hurt me.
Echo, tell me a fun fact.
The future.
Apparently there is no fun fact. Yeah, I have it turned on.
Want to try it?
Echo, what time is it?
It's 3:59 p.m.
Can you see? Can you see the bear
God.
talking?
Zooming in that we can do? I don't know.
And he gave us a little twerk.
Echo, play Prince music.
Hold it up, Micah.
Oh wait, hold it up. Oh yeah, there we go.
You stopped my Prince music.
I'm sorry, I wanted to hold it up right. One more.
Songs by Prince from Spotify.
No, don't do Spotify because.
Please don't play music.
Here's what we're gonna do. No, everyone be quiet. No. Here we go. Ready?
I don't want this taken down.
Play some songs by Beethoven on Amazon Music.
Very serious.
Shuffling songs by Ludwig van Beethoven.
If you do it from Amazon Music, it will actually sync dancing to it. If you do it on any other music service, it won't sync.
Cool.
Now, who can twerk
to
Beethoven but Jimmy?
This is the Moonlight Twerk Sonata, Opus 53.
Does it not make you tear up a little bit?
Left buttock.
Kind of killing it.
It's beautiful.
This is a weird Black Mirror episode, man. I don't know.
Are we going to get a YouTube takedown for the
Well, only if they
Beethoven
can figure out
twerk
who
sonata?
Beethoven?
I don't think Ludwig's been
Beethoven. I think it expired.
Very litigious.
Echo, stop playing music.
How about this? Can we? Oh, but I'm not on Amazon. I was thinking maybe we could play This Week in Tech on, but we're not on Amazon. It has to be on Amazon
You
Music.
can do this though.
That's what sells
Echo.
Amazon.
Simon says. Wait, Echo. Simon says subscribe to Twit.
Subscribe to Twit.
I think everybody who subscribes to Twit should have to wiggle their buttocks every single time.
So
wow.
It's only fair.
There's that's Jimmy. Jimmy comes in normal Jimmy form. Jimmy also has a holiday form where there's a Santa hat.
Yeah.
And there's also a Santa. So there are 3 different kinds.
So last year I bought Michael, our 16-year-old, the big mouth Billy Bass. He immediately disconnected it. He was so freaked out by the whole thing. He just hated it. He hated it.
My son still has his big mouth.
Does he?
Bass
It talks.
hooked up.
It talks Echo, and then it plays.
Oh, she talks through the
Echo.
She talks through the fish.
Echo. 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 I like it. It makes me feel less alone in the world.
The future we deserve.
Yeah, exactly. This is the future we deserve.
Excuse me.
I think loads of fun you could have with this.
It's so silly, but
Echo, beatbox for me.
Oh, it's not doing
It's
it.
not doing it.
Hey, good times.
What?
But don't wait.
The bear. Did I break
Not
the
even a
bear? I
twerk.
think I broke the bear.
Wow.
It couldn't
That was
I
twerk.
just
too
canceled by order.
It's a twerking bear, not a beatboxing bear.
Fair. Echo. Echo.
Yes.
Simon says, "Watch the way I twerk." Okay.
It doesn't like whatever you do. You have to engage that skill to do it.
No.
It doesn't like it.
Simon says, "Watch the way I twerk."
Saying it more emphatically will not solve your problems.
You're right. I give up.
It's like when you're talking to somebody who doesn't speak English. You don't shout.
No, but the Simon Says worked earlier. Anyway.
Anywho.
That's Jimmy the Twerking Bear.
Anywho.
2
And
stars.
Stay tuned for the hands-on tech review of the Talking Bear, which includes, I would say, the best intro to a tech review video that I've seen in a long time.
Nice.
And it's not because I'm in it, it's because Anthony's incredible.
It's mostly because you're in it.
No.
It's
Daniel,
a little
you
because
actually
Anthony's
were talking about, because Microsoft has Cortana, and I feel like Microsoft just kind of threw in the towel, but there is some work to create interoperability, isn't there?
Yeah, so this was part of that initiative, the Voice Interoperability Initiative. I think I'm pronouncing that right. But I actually think this is a really interesting thing when we talk about agents. And, I'm not really into these agents as much. I have a lot of devices. I don't ever use them except for, set a timer. But who am I to deny the fact that these things are catching on? So the question is now, do we want a world where, Google would like to just be the one AI and agent to rule them all? And that's obviously for convenience, but the trade-off there is you basically have to give all your information to Google and everything needs to be plugged in. And the fact is, even if you wanted to do that, you couldn't. Like if you use a PC, Google has absolutely no access to that outside of your browsing history, right? But if you don't use Gmail or anything like that, it's kind of useless. So, and also Google doesn't do anything with Amazon, right? Or do those kind of services, or it doesn't do much on your iPhone. So there's a lot of obstacles to being a one AI to rule them all things. So what Microsoft has been putting forward, and now Amazon is doing too, is this idea like there shouldn't be a single agent because one, it's too dangerous. You're putting way too much personal information to one company, and hopefully, no one gets hacked. Instead, they see a world where there's multiple agents, and every company basically has their own, and there'll be standards there, hopefully for security and privacy, what we were talking about earlier. And these agents instead talk to each other and can feed off of each other. And to me, that seems like a more realistic kind of world. So Cortana, people laugh at it. Obviously, without a phone, Microsoft doesn't have much of a play there. But they do have a play, which is they've put Cortana under their Office division. So it's a part of Office 365. It's going to LinkedIn. It's going to Word, Outlook, To Do. It's going to all their actual productivity services, which when you look at what Microsoft does best, it's software and services. And Office has been one of the most successful parts of Microsoft for decades now.
Didn't it replace Clippy? Is that kind of what it does?
If you think about it, that's sort of where this is going. But
it's as annoying as Clippy, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I think this idea of like an agent being a physical representation, I think that's going away, right? Microsoft's going to kind of pull back on that. Instead, you're just going to have machine learning and AI weaved throughout their operating system and through their services. And, that's going to be their strength. So you'll be able to pull up calendars and appointments, and that's what Cortana is going to be doing if you're part of Office 365 and Microsoft. That's something Amazon has absolutely they can't do anything there, right? And Google can't do anything there. And yet a lot of the world and business world, it's Microsoft. So this is one way for these companies to cooperate basically and build products where they can, work together. Currently, you can do this. You can actually ask Alexa to open up Cortana as a skill and it'll do that. And then you can use Cortana through your device. But that's a little bit of it's a two-stepper, right? You gotta, hey, okay, now open up Cortana. What this will do is you'll go to one wake word. You can basically tell your device, open Cortana, and it'll just go directly. And so it's this idea of, reducing these walls and obstacles to these services. And so Salesforce, I believe, is on board with this. I think Samsung was too, Qualcomm for hardware, Verizon as well. So all these companies are kind of jumping on board. Google said they just learned about it, so they haven't committed to it yet. And we don't know about Apple, of course. But a lot of people hate on Siri. I actually like Siri's user experience. I actually think it's very good. But Siri could benefit from this, right? Just plugging into other systems, just like how your browser works now, where you have extensions. And we're kind of familiar with this idea that things plug into each other and should be interoperable. So that's what this project is for. I think it's the smart way this industry goes forward to the next level, where we could also bring up ideas of privacy, security. Microsoft, they'll say Cortana, it obeys the standards that they need for business and operating there, which is super important. And that's how all their products work together, which is why they just don't open everything up to third parties. So this is one way, I think, to go down that route. And it's kind of an interesting one, even though I feel like all this stuff is it's very premature. AI is not here yet, right? We're barely starting there. That's why this stuff is so unimpressive, in my opinion, when you use voice assistants.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe someday. What I don't want to do is say, Cortana, can I talk to Echo?
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So that's the goal of this is so you don't have.
I don't have to
It'll
say
just
that,
be
but
one
how
word.
would it know which
You
assistant?
say the right wake word.
Oh, I just say Echo.
Yeah, or
see.
Cortana.
Oh,
and
I see.
basically, if you think about it, then the hardware, this is Microsoft's problem, right? They try to build a Cortana speaker with the Harman Kardon.
I have it. Nobody wants
no one buys it.
Yeah.
Right. And so why go buy specific hardware that's tied to one ecosystem?
Isn't it hard? I mean, it's one thing on a computer because you have a lot of storage, a lot of CPU. It's another thing on a phone.
That's true.
Where, I mean, before they do that, can they just allow me to set my own wake word so we don't have to do all this rigmarole? I've been bleeping every time people say ALEXA on the show because we don't want to trigger somebody's home Echo and have them buy a dollhouse by accident.
Do some of those on can't you do that with Amazon? You can kind of change
There's
the
four.
wake word.
It's computer, useless.
Amazon.
Echo, which we use. Amazon, useless, or ALEXA. No, but remember on the old Moto X, you could tell the Moto X, I want my wake word to be...
My wake word is jacuzzi.
And actually I made mine help me Obi-Wan Kenobi because I thought that's never going to come up in the real world. Yeah, but if I want help from my assistant saying help me Obi-Wan Kenobi is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it's never going to get accidentally triggered.
Unlike
this is a
jacuzzi,
big problem with all of these.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they don't do this yet.
There's a lot of obstacles. Also, we're just getting to the point, right, of actual voice recognition. So if I ask something versus a friend or family member, now they're getting to the point where, it brings up your stuff, right? And Microsoft wants to do that too. So I go, what's my appointment? It knows me versus, sort of my family. And so this stuff... it has a long, long way to go before it really becomes useful. Even conversational AI, right? Microsoft showed this off at Build. They bought a company called Semantic Machines, and it's actually based here in Boston. And so they work on this idea of contextual AI. What I mean by that is you have a conversation. And so there's follow-ups, and the thing becomes more human-like, right? So that you can ask a follow-up question to it, like, right, what's the weather for tomorrow? Is it going to rain on Thursday? And you can go back and forth to this without having to repeat the question. So that stuff is just starting to come out, but we're still got a long way before this stuff is super useful. But I think in advance of that, this idea of these companies working together, I think is a lot smarter because we all benefit from that way as a consumer. Eventually, you just buy a speaker, and it doesn't matter whose service is on there, right? You can use whatever you want, and they're all tied together, but everybody will have their strength. And so that's going to be, I think, really kind of cool.
Yeah, I want to have my own voice assistant.
I want Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
Mine will be named...
I'm thinking about...
Who would you like,
with
Caroline?
Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel L.
Jackson was
Jackson.
announced.
They did announce that, 99 cents. Then it'll be $5. Unclear whether that's once or monthly.
Hi, I've got the Samuel L. Jackson subscription.
Yeah, right.
Do you have to say that to your
And it's clean and explicit, right? So you can have him saying, I don't want no MF and timers set on me. I don't want no MF and twerking bear dancing to my tune. Or you could say, I wouldn't like any bear to talk about
I don't want that
behind my
bear
back.
dancing its tushy around me.
Yes.
It actually turns into a bit of a British accent.
Who would buy the non-explicit Samuel L. Jackson?
The lamest person ever.
If I'm paying $1, I want the explicit one.
I want the Samuel L. Jackson from that spy movie, the British spy.
Yes, the Kingsman.
The Kingsman.
The
yeah.
What does he
Kingsman,
do in
yeah.
The Kingsman? I don't remember.
He's
like
the big baddie.
He's
got a
ultimate,
lisp.
He's a lisping nerd.
He's a lisping nerd?
Yes,
Yeah, he's like
wonderful.
There's
if
also
you
a
took
Twitter killer.
Elon
So
Musk
wonderful.
And who's the guy that looks like Data, Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, and you put them together.
That's how I remember Mark's name. I always say, who's the guy who looks like Data?
That is how I think of him now.
Yeah.
Did you
Who's
see
the
his
bot that
Did
runs
you see his
Facebook?
thing at the Oculus? His haircut was just so friggin'
Did it have a
perfect.
notch?
It might as well have. It was just so straight across.
Well, we're going to take a break. I want to talk about the new Facebook virtual reality world where we're all equal, but we all have no legs.
No legs. We're all equally no legs.
It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. They announced it at Oculus at
you
the
can't twerk with no legs.
Oculus Connect event. We have a big announcement for you, Micah Sargent.
We do.
Why don't we do that?
Okay, well.
Micah's got a new show, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, I think we have the preview episode. Why don't we watch?
Hello there. I'm Micah Sargent.
And I'm Matthew Casanelli.
And we are excited to be bringing you a brand new show, Smart Tech Today. We're going to explore and explain the fascinating world of the Internet of Things and everything in between. I've got some smart bulbs hanging around the house. And Matthew, I'm pretty sure you know a thing or two about automation, right?
Yes, I do. I've got Siri shortcuts ready to go for everything I possibly can.
So if you want to check out the nerdy, sometimes confusing, but always exciting world of smart tech, then you definitely want to stay tuned. In fact, you can subscribe right now on Apple Podcasts, your favorite podcatcher, or at twit.tv/STT.
There is no video on that because it's an audio-only show. It's one of the things we're going to start doing on Twit is audio-only shows because we noticed that mostly people listen. I like doing video because it lets you see us, even if you only watch every once in a while. Then you can have a visual. But it's expensive. It's complicated. And it adds a great deal to the complication of doing the show. So audio will be easier.
And chances are some of your favorite podcasts are audio only.
Almost all of them.
Some very popular
How
ones are
many
audio
people do
only.
video podcasts? Nobody.
Just you.
Just me.
Wow.
It was a bad idea. But we're not getting rid of video. But just we're trying out. When we do try out new shows, we thought, well, we'll launch them in audio first.
Yeah.
How about that?
So I'm really pumped about this. I think that we are just finally, we just spent a whole segment talking about all these different voice assistants. We're kind of on the bridge of folks understanding what smart tech is. And so Matthew
kind of the conversation we've just been having. It's not just IoT. It's voice assistants.
Yes, exactly.
It's intelligent vehicles, self-driving cars. Did you see people, apparently Tesla 10
oh my God, I've loved this. I was
has a new summon capability, and people are starting to post videos, the freakingest, creepiest videos of these Teslas inching through crowded parking lots. This is not a good idea.
It's the future.
What's going to happen if that car hits something? Then what?
It'll be a hilarious video.
That's it.
Who do you blame? You send a bill to Elon?
No, I think it's still your fault.
It's still your fault. I don't know why anybody would even think about doing this. I'll show you one of them. Anyway, Smart Tech Today. It's launching when? When is it launching?
Monday, October 7th.
And they'll come out every Monday.
Yes. So you can actually, here's the thing. This is kind of fun, the thing that we're testing out. The Utes, as it were, are super into Twitch. And, there are other people who love Twitch. And so we are actually going to be, Matthew Casanelli from Berkeley, me from right here in the Petaluma studio, will be broadcasting the show on Twitch, interacting with that audience. So stay tuned for that, because right now the Twitch chat is... But we're going to open it up during that time. We're going to have people tuning in there and being able to comment.
Will there be video?
Yes.
So you could watch it, do it live, and comment live.
Do it live and comment there. So we are doing it at 4 p.m. Pacific, and the reason we're doing that is because that about hits the bridge either before you're starting to eat dinner or, depending on how far you go, after you've eaten dinner. So it's kind of a good time there for folks to be able to tune into the live stream on Twitch and hang out with us. So yeah, we are both looking forward to that. Matthew is already a Twitch streamer and YouTuber, and
that's going to be fun.
Worked on the
Shortcuts
team before Apple swallowed it up. So yeah, we're looking forward to it for sure. And so you can check that out Monday, October 7th, and he'll be here live in the studio with me for that first episode.
Cool.
So yeah, check it out.
Brand new show. coming to Twit, Smart Tech Today, STT. And we will create a topic on the forums, a category in the forums, because that's something else we wanted to mention. They're still kind of in beta because I don't know how this is going to work. Twit.community. We've created forums. A lot of people said we can't watch a show live, so there's no point for the chat room. We love the chat room. It's a great way to interact with us while we're doing a show live, even if it's audio only. But if you aren't watching live, what do? So that we've created the forums. They're kind of an asynchronous way to participate. And every show will have a category. Every host will have a category. There'll be a place for you to talk amongst yourselves as well. Ask tech questions. That's twit.community. It isn't open now for you to join, but just understand it's early days yet. We're still working on it. And we've already decided to change the name because Micah says backstage is confusing. So we're just going to call it Twit Community, I guess.
And I do want to clarify something because I'm seeing some questions here. You saying live audio, if it's just going to be a still picture on Twitch? No, we will be streaming video to
It's just
Twitch.
we won't put out a podcast.
Yes, exactly. There won't be a video podcast afterward. You can just subscribe to the audio.
I don't think that's going to hurt too bad, but we'll see.
So you'll actually be able to watch it not even just on Twitch. That's just where we're going to be paying attention. So if you stream it from another streaming platform, it'll be there. It's just Twitch is where we're trying to focus some of the
so we're going to still put it on the twit.tv/live stream. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So live, you'll be able to watch it. So this is a video. There's a lot of them on the Tesla Motors subreddit. This was one that really irked me. This is a car. This is a Model 3. This is a new capability where you're standing on the curb at the store. The car is parked. You press a button on your phone. The phone tells the car where you are and then autonomously drives it through the parking lot.
This makes me nervous.
It's making me really nervous. And this is a crowded parking lot. So there's other cars that, I think this is such a bad idea. And I kind of am mad that Tesla released this feature. Does this seem like a good idea? I mean, it didn't hit anything.
No, but there wasn't a lot moving. Oh, wait, there are a bunch of people.
No, this is complicated. There's people, there's other cars. This one's very complicated.
I thought this was one that I saw
Don't do this in a crowded parking lot. What if you hit somebody? I mean,
the
look,
car's barely moving.
You're going like 2 miles an hour.
Yeah, but
it would do.
It'd just be like a...
This doesn't seem like it's going to end well.
You should, yes.
I mean,
there've
to
already
be
been
fair,
reports of people like falling asleep in Teslas, which is like, it's good, arguably, because it's like, okay, you're preventing the car from crashing if someone is falling asleep and the car is still driving. But here, it's like, I don't see what this is saving anybody from. It seems like pure risk to me.
Oh, it's show-off. It's complete show-off stuff. I had my Tesla for 3 years. I never used Summon once. I didn't trust it. This is a newer, updated, better Summons. I certainly would have done this.
I think this is getting them valuable data of what happens when
that's
they
say.
Hit stuff.
Yeah, this is valuable data.
But what
it's
risky.
What
does this help? How does this help?
Well, because if it's raining, let's say it's raining and you don't want to, I don't know, go get out in the rain.
Yeah, the car can come pick you up.
You're really trying to think of something.
No, I think it's a bad idea. I want to be very clear.
So here's the thing, though. It almost doesn't matter because it's not. We can talk about how to use it right now. The fact is we're going toward autonomous vehicles, and these are the first steps that we go there. Eventually, cars aren't going to have drivers. I mean, Tesla, Musk has come out and said they've already planned a Model 3 that has no steering wheel, right? So these things will eventually drive, and that's how the future of cars is going to be in this country. Now, we're still years from that, right? But these are the first steps. So it's like, I know it's risky.
Cars had steering wheels.
I do feel like an old man here, but I'm again it.
Well, I'll be an old man with you because that's horrifying.
I am again it.
Netflix, YouTube, Cuphead, you can't use them while you're driving. It won't engage. But yeah, the idea is when you're at a charging station, and they're going to start putting free Wi-Fi at these stations. But yeah, when you plug in, you can play a video game, you can watch TV, you can catch up on a movie. They're literally just throwing in features almost because they can, and that's what's kind of fun about it, right? So
I was going to Target I think it was in San Jose, and walking past, and in the parking lot, there's like all of these Teslas. I was like, are they about to do a procession? What's going on here? And then I came to understand that it was because there was a supercharger station, and they were all just waiting.
Yeah, they're waiting.
And I thought, there's not one close enough that they don't have to wait in this long line. It was a very long line, but they all had their little monitors up with whatever, probably playing fart signal or whatever the game is. So yeah, they've got the entertainment, but I found that fascinating, and certainly not something that I think I would want to do. It's like, okay.
Here's another thing I would sign up for, like the Tesla karaoke, but
No
can't
legs.
because I don't have it. Facebook Horizon.
Oh yeah.
They announced this. It is to laugh, Caroline. You're right. They announced this at the Facebook Connect event. It is a, quote, ever-expanding VR world where you can explore, play, and create in extraordinary ways. You're not just discovering a new world. You're part of what makes it great.
Wow.
If I had a Facebook account, I probably would sign up for the beta. But before you get all excited,
Let's watch
this trailer video.
Beyond our world, there's another world.
So
And it's right here.
she's in her
On
kitchen,
my face.
and there she
This
is.
is
Not
Horizon.
actual VR
Think of
footage.
me as your guide / self-appointed
It's pulling out, and you see she's walking without feet, which puzzles.
What is happening?
So everybody doesn't have feet.
What up, Stuart?
You and your best friend can also.
Now her husband's cooking dinner while she's flying an airplane with a mustache,
Yeah, as you do.
as one does. Now the nice thing about the airplane, you don't see the fact you have no legs.
I'm kind of.
And there's
I don't
the other
understand,
person she's playing.
Why does the airplane have wings?
Yeah, why?
He's not Australian.
This is the feature I signed up for.
This is what you
Yes.
want to go to art class?
I just don't want legs.
Oh, I see.
Is this exciting, Caroline? Are you excited about this?
There aren't any Amazon Echoes in it, so.
Notice there's also no Facebook
Fair.
portals.
Yeah. I think it's funny.
VR.
It's not the
Yeah,
metaverse.
VR is still just weird. I'll say though, seems like a response for me. Microsoft bought AltSpace VR, what they use with Windows Mixed Reality, and if you go onto AltSpace VR, it's very similar to this idea of a virtual reality community. You create an avatar, you walk around. It's also a very weird world. I've gone in there, and it's like mixed reality and virtual reality. All this stuff is. It's definitely not mainstream, but yet when you go into these communities, they're very busy. There's a lot going on in there, and so the audiences that use this stuff are very hardcore into it, and that's what's kind of interesting. I don't use this stuff regularly. I haven't worked into my daily workflow yet, but they are interesting. And I feel like this is Facebook's attempt, because they couldn't buy AltSpace VR, to basically go into this same kind of space.
They had a VR environment. We played with it with the Oculus Rift when it first came out, and it was not pleasant. The part of the problem, and I think the reason they don't have legs, is because what they don't talk about, notice the woman couldn't move around. Because currently there's no way you want to move around with a visor on that you can't see what you're walking into.
Right.
Make you sick.
So all of these have some weird way of motivating. Like maybe you use the device to put down a thing and pull yourself towards it, or you press a button that glides you forward. So legs really don't make sense in that environment, because you're not able to walk, and they don't want you to walk. They want you to float and stay where you are. I don't know. We'll see. You know what? I'm sounding grumpy. I don't want people to do summon. I don't want them to do VR. I just want them to stay at home and talk to their Amazon Echoes.
You know what?
Leo, do you remember?
Go ahead.
Do you remember Second Life?
Yeah, I played a lot of it.
Yeah, so this just reminds me of just the virtual reality version of that. Yeah. And I feel like these ideas, again, they don't go mainstream, but for some reason they're so persistent. They keep coming back, and I still want to believe there's
because it's science fiction.
Well, and also because people don't want to live their real lives.
No, it's people looking at Ready Player One, and before that, Snow Crash, Neil Stephenson's Metaverse,
or Star Trek's Holodeck,
and the Holodeck. And honestly, that's what I think a lot of scientists and technologists are doing. They're just trying to invent the future that they read about when they were kids. Don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Okay, but I think the way that it gets popular is because people are trying to
do want to do it, but it isn't popular. What happened to Second Life? It turned into a place for people to have weird virtual sex. And it just
see? Yeah. It always comes back to it. Technology always comes back to that.
Maybe.
So
you can buy, I didn't, but you could buy costumes, basically nude suits. So you're a naked avatar in Second Life.
Did you have legs?
Yeah. You had everything.
All
You know
Hot
what I mean?
legs.
Actually, this show is brought to you by CashFly. How many years have you heard? Bandwidth for This Week in Tech is brought to you by CashFly. It's CACHEFLY.com. You actually know that, don't you? Yeah. It's because for more than a decade now, when you get a Twit podcast, when you download it on the website, when you download it in your podcast application, when you get it streamed on your phone, you're getting it from CashFly. It's our CDN, our content delivery network. It is the best. 30% faster than the competition, up to 10 times faster than other traditional delivery methods, and backed by a 100% SLA. That means that's because they have servers all over the world. So many servers that if one goes down, no big deal. But you're going to be getting your content, your customers are getting their content from the server nearest them. That means fast delivery, means fewer problems. CashFly is so great. LG uses it. Microsoft uses it. Adobe and Ars Technica. We use it, of course. It is incredible. And what I really love is they work out your bill, your plan. It's custom to your needs. We have very spiky downloads. Twit gets downloaded mostly Sunday night and Monday, right? That means a big spike. We actually send out petabytes of data every single month through CashFly. And if I had to, worry about bandwidth caps or watching spikes, I'd be logging in every day, panicked. But I don't have to worry about that. You get a custom plan tailored to your CDN needs based on yearly usage trends, smooths out the spikes, gives you a predictable bill every month. You're going to love CashFly. And you're also going to love what you save because on average, customers who switch to CashFly save more than 20%. It is awesome. Just for you, right now, you can go to CashFly and get a detailed analysis of your current CDN bill to see if they can save you money. No pressure. Just the information you need to know if you're overpaying. Go to twit.cashfly.com. Twit.cashfly.com. It is the best way to deliver your app, your data, your podcasts to an audience. And like I said, petabytes a month through CashFly. Twit.cashfly.com. I love this story. Well, I don't love it, but it's an interesting story. Jailbreak community has announced Checkmate, a jailbreak that cannot be fixed.
Dun, dun, dun.
That Apple can't turn back. Now, it only affects devices through the A11, so it doesn't affect the last 2 years of iPhones or iPads. But because it's a firmware hack, very hard to do, Apple would have to release new firmware for all its phones, something it can't do. It'd have to take them back in hardware and stuff. So Checkmate is what they call a permanent, unpatchable boot ROM exploit.
That's a clever name for it.
Checkmate with an 8.
Well,
I don't recommend jailbreaking in general, but if you have an older phone, maybe this is a way to keep it alive. Maybe put some software on it that you want.
Mess around.
It's on GitHub. I won't say exactly where, but you can find it, and it doesn't work on the last 2 chipsets. And buyer beware.
Yeah.
The creator says there are still kinks to be ironed out on older devices like the 4S.
So what does that mean? Because
I don't even
if you
wanna
install
find
it on
out.
your 4S, it will never work again.
Yeah. Remember, jailbreak could be jailbrick. Just
Exactly.
keep that in mind. But it's an engineering feat, something to be admired
From afar. With a stick.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend using it. 10 feet at least.
Mm-hmm.
Apple says some of those shows we're making, those movies we're making for Apple TV Plus, those are going to be in the movie theaters.
Again, people go to those?
So this is Sofia Coppola directing Bill Murray in a new movie, On the Rocks. It's going to be one of Apple's first major theatrical releases. It'll open in theaters first and then on Apple TV Plus. That's always been a bone of contention. Hollywood doesn't... Remember... Steven Spielberg didn't want Roma to be nominated for an Academy Award. He said only movies that had a theatrical release. So Netflix put it out, I think, for 2 weeks in theaters. It's not an easy thing to do. Apple's going to respond to that.
Now, do we get a free pass in our wallet apps?
No.
So we have to pay for it there, even if we have Apple TV+.
You just don't go see it. It's going to be dumb. Nobody's going to go see it because you can watch it at home in about
a
week.
You think they're just doing this for the sake of being able to be nominated for awards?
Well, On the Rocks, which stars Rashida Jones as a young woman reconnecting with her eccentric father. Guess who her eccentric father will be? Bill Murray. They're eyeing a mid-year release next year, possibly following a premiere at a high-profile event such as the Cannes Film Festival. Interesting. There's Bill Murray acting eccentric with Rashida Jones.
I've never seen him do that.
It's a new thing. It's kind of a stretch for Bill. He's such a talented actor. I don't even know why I told you this story. Nobody seems to care.
I'm sorry.
Not one bit.
I'm sorry. I tried.
Apple's going to make the Mac Pro in Texas.
Everything's bigger there.
The old Mac Pro is made in Texas.
And this was straight from Apple.
Yes.
From Tim Apple, actually.
Tim Apple says, and I think it has a little bit to do with trade war with China and pressure on Apple to make stuff in the U.S. And honestly, if you're going to make something in the U.S., make yours what will undoubtedly be the slowest selling device.
Exactly.
Because it's going to start at $6,000 minus a monitor stand.
Right. You don't even get a monitor stand with that. Or a movie ticket to go see their films.
You don't get nothing. So it's good for Austin. It's good for the Flex plant in Austin, which hasn't had a lot to do, frankly, since 2013.
This is on top of the stuff that it's doing with Corning, where it just invested a bunch of money with Corning.
Apple has a fund to put money into some of the suppliers. Apple never says that they're using Gorilla Glass, except that it comes from Corning.
Yeah.
And what happens, I was told by a reliable source, maybe you or Renee, somebody told me that what happens is Apple puts it in their new iPhone. They don't call it Gorilla Glass. And then after a decent period of time, Corning releases it as the next generation of Gorilla Glass.
Well, I don't think mine's Gorilla Glass because I remember that
Did you break it already?
No.
You better not.
I did. I didn't. I just have a big gouge in the screen.
He does.
Yeah.
It came with a gouge.
It's hard to see. You can't see
No,
it from
it came with a gouge.
I swear it did. When I pulled this phone out of the box, I looked at it, and there were there are these weird scratches all over the surface of it. That gouge, the gouge was not there, but it is there now. And I take very good care of my devices. I don't put them next to metal things or let a twerking bear hold them. I'm very careful.
Actually, they're missing a bet. There should be an iPhone stand attached to the butt on that twerking bear.
Oh my gosh, that would be perfect.
Awesome. And maybe
Burke will make me one. Yeah. He said
Burke's
he was
already offering to make clothing for it.
So a nice iPhone stand for the twerking bear would be. I mean, look at that. That's perfect.
One quick break, and then we will wrap up with a bunch of small. Have a mint. That's good. Small stories to wrap the day up. But first, a word from Worldwide Technology. WWT, we call them. Their Advanced Technology Center started about 10 years ago. It has grown like Topsy. More than $500 million in equipment, enterprise equipment, so that you and they can test hardware and software before you deploy it. The engineers at WWT use the Advanced Technology Center to create tests, proof of concept, pilots. They use a sandbox so that customers can see this stuff at work, can see how it interacts with their equipment. But one of the things I love about this, I think is so amazing, is that now you can use the ATC as well. Even if you're not in St. Louis, any time of the day or night, you can try and test things 24/7 in their on-demand labs, schedulable labs, representing the newest advances in all kinds of enterprise technology, multi-cloud architecture, security, networking, primary and secondary storage, data analytics, AI, DevOps. Learn about the products before you launch. Test it, reducing the concept time from months to weeks, speed to markets faster. They call it Lab as a Service, LAS. It's a dedicated lab space within the ATC where customers themselves can do programmatic testing using that vast technology ecosystem, the $500 million ATC. It's amazing. It's virtual, and the time is finally here. They launched it, and they invite you to try it. It creates a multiplier effect of knowledge, speed, and agility anytime, anywhere around the world for WWT's customers. You get access to articles, you get case studies, you get hands-on labs, you get other tools that make the difference in today's fast-paced world. To learn more about worldwide technology and to join the ATC ecosystem, go to WWT.com/twit. Create your account. Try it out today. WWT simplifies the complex. WWT.com/twit. Worldwide technology delivering business and technology outcomes around the world. Hence the name, Worldwide Technology. And the ATC. There is some Google news. Big landmark case in Europe in the right to be forgotten. So there was, Google went to court in France saying, look, you can have right to be forgotten in the EU, but that shouldn't extend to all countries worldwide. That's a EU issue. France said, no, we want, the CNIL, which is France's privacy regulator, in 2015 said, no, you have to globally remove search result listings if there's damaging or false information about a person everywhere, globally, not just France. So Google's response the next year was to block European users from seeing links that were delisted elsewhere. It says that we don't want to censor it, but at least we'll block it. And then went to court, and it looks like the European Court of Justice, which sounds like a Marvel comic universe event. The European Court of Justice says currently Google does not have to dereference all versions of its search engine if a right to be forgotten request has been made, just in the right to be forgotten country. That's actually a big deal for the internet working, period.
Yeah.
And you may remember that also in the EU, publishers in the EU did not like Google's use of snippets in their search results. Honestly, that's a big part of why Google search works. The publishers said, well, they'll read that one-sentence summary of the story.
And they don't go to our...
And they won't click the link. Mm-hmm. They'll just say, okay, I got what I want, and it won't drive traffic. Every time that has been blocked, as it was in Spain, it's resulted in decline of traffic to those sites. It's going to happen now in France. Google will stop showing news snippets from European publishers on search results for its French users. This is the new European copyright law. We warned against this law. This is a very problematic law.
I don't want to say something controversial, but...
If you're going to say something about cheese eaters, I'm going to be mad at you.
I have no idea what that means.
Okay.
I feel like the EU just really doesn't understand the internet.
I think that's not controversial at all. I have to, look, the GDPR is a good thing.
The GDPR
is a good thing.
Yeah.
But this new copyright regulation we knew would be a problem. There's one of two problems. One is this snippet issue. The other one is
memes.
Basically prevent memes. But memes are the smallest amount of it. It basically says that any publisher is responsible for making sure copyright is not being violated. So we have a new forum. If somebody posts something copyrighted on that forum, it's my responsibility to prevent that from happening, which means...
It's Twitter's responsibility. It's...
everybody's. Yeah. And in Europe, that means it's going to be a chilling effect on free speech because most networks can't be blocked. They're just going to block everything, right?
Right.
So French users will only see headlines, not the first few lines or a thumbnail image for news content, unless the publisher asks for it.
Oh, so it's opt-in.
It's opt-in.
On the publisher side.
Spain did this. Germany did this. In Spain, Google News pulled out. Traffic to Axel Springer, the German publisher, plunged after it sought to block the search engine. We talk a lot about this on our Wednesday show this week in Google. Jeff Jarvis always says, look, these newspapers have to understand Google drives traffic.
Right. That's how
it's good for
folks
them,
find things.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I mean, I get because there have been times where I've typed in something and it's like, oh, this is exactly what you need to do. And it'll say the first sentence and then step 1 through 7. And I'm like, I don't ever have to go click on that article. So I understand the concern there. But in many cases, it doesn't provide all of the information that I need, or I start to see a trend of like every time I Google, this one site is telling me the things that I need to know. So then you start to trust that site, you start to go to that site, et cetera. And yeah, if that's not there, then how will we know that those sites are out there? This is the whole point.
Daniel, Caroline, are you suffering low blood sugar? I know it's dinner time. I don't want you to pass out. Let's take a break. Go get a snack. Have a drink of orange juice, maybe a Baby Ruth bar.
An orange juice.
Are you okay?
I'm great.
I know blood sugar is an issue sometimes.
It is.
Okay.
Well, actually, maybe I should have some orange juice.
There you go. Look at Caroline's having a nice beverage.
I've got a mint in my pocket.
Water.
Oh, all right. Do we care that QuestLove is moving his podcast from Pandora to iHeartRadio?
You know, I do care.
No, you don't.
No.
I don't even know who QuestLove is.
Well, that's
Isn't he the
that's a
drummer?
shame.
He's the drummer on the Letterman show. No.
He's from the Roots. Yeah.
He's in the Roots on the Fallon show.
Yeah.
Oh, he's on.
He's with Fallon. It's late night.
Yes, he is.
Not late night. Tonight. The night.
Some night.
So this is actually a blow for Pandora because they were starting podcasts. I guess this is kind of inside baseball.
It's a little bit, but I don't know. I see people jumping all over the places, but the fact is the jumping in the first place, because I think about, to me, podcasting is not a siloed thing.
What does it mean? Can I not hear it anymore?
Yeah. So do I have to pay to hear it? Does he get other sort of
Well, it turns out you'll be able to listen to the
auto-injected ads?
podcast on anywhere else.
So then what
What does this even mean?
Maybe it's just exclusively not on Pandora.
It's not on Pandora.
You can get it everywhere, but you can't
On
listen to it on Pandora.
And I'm sure QuestLove got a big...
I also am jumping from Pandora.
I am too. Let's all jump.
Let's jump from Pandora. Sorry, Pandora.
Does anybody use Pandora anymore?
I still have an active subscription. I actually enjoy Pandora, but
How much does that cost? Can I ask? Is that rude?
It's like
I think it was
$15.
99 cents.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it was like $1 or something like that
$1?
a month or something.
I'm paying
yeah,
too
or
much.
there's different levels. I think there's 2 different levels of it.
Leo's is still $20.
I got it from a guy on the street. He said,
Yeah.
I'll sell
give you
you
a
a
little
Pandora.
card.
Yeah, give me a Pandora card. Do
Spotify
I used
does really
Pandora in
kinda take it over.
Do you,
2012. I was
Carolina?
going through a phase.
Oh, yeah, when you were a
It
kid.
was a phase.
Yeah.
My Pandora
Let me guess.
phase.
Wait a minute. Okay. Spotify, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what
I use
use.
Spotify.
Spotify, right?
And Apple Music, yeah.
Apple Music. Well, that's
Both.
my problem is I can't quit any of them. I have Apple Music, Google Music, Spotify.
I don't do the Google one.
That's too many.
But you
You
do
know-
that for the YouTube ads.
You know what I just did? This
Black
is
off.
new Amazon HD. Now they have
Yeah.
high-res music on Amazon Unlimited, Music Unlimited.
I just listened to this show. It's called Ask the Tech Guy. And on it, there was this guy, and he was talking about how you really can't, how many people really can't tell the difference between
Especially if
high
you're
fidelity.
over 30.
Especially if you're a certain age. You can't tell the difference between high fidelity music and regular fidelity
it's
music.
only $5 more a month.
Oh my God, Leo Laporte.
I have.
That's for those audiophile people who I get them. I respect their skills. They're also annoying and I hate them because they just always chime in on everything and they push up the glass and you're like, well, actually,
excuse
and it's just
me.
like, come on.
Oh,
No, it's
are
like,
you a savage listening to 16-bit
yeah, exactly.
recordings? What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
No song
So-
can be resampled at 44,100 cycles per second. That's just not reasonable.
I think most sound is basically fine. If
Yeah.
I can hear it, it's like it's fine.
Honestly, okay, you guys are all young. I'm old. But nobody, you're listening on those little white AirPod things.
Okay, don't insult me.
It's stuff you can't, it doesn't, there's not,
A lot of people, you're right. They are listening to the things they got in their
it came with the phone.
box,
If
yeah.
it came with the phone, it's probably not that good.
Right.
And I listen to punk music, which already sounds
Yeah.
bad.
You want it to sound bad.
Exactly. Like, I mean,
It's
okay,
the
but like,
experience.
yeah. If I listen to Pink Floyd, all right, yeah, let's throw on, give me the 7.1 and all that stuff. But otherwise,
I will say there are some Beyonce songs that do sound
There
better
are still
in high
people
fidelity.
listening to music on Twerking Bears. I just want to say.
This is true.
yeah.
I don't blame
I don't
them.
even know where the speaker is in this thing.
There isn't one, as a matter of fact.
Do
It's
you
in the
want to know?
cylinder.
Yeah,
I wanna know.
it doesn't have a
Don't go
speaker.
looking for that speaker, Micah.
Are the eyes cameras?
Oh my God. Are you listening to me? Jimmy. Come on, Jimmy.
Oh man, let's see what else. Snapchat has been collecting information on Facebook's bad behavior. The only reason I like this story is because they call their dossier Project Voldemort.
And that face that they chose is
That's a
perfect.
good. Thank you, Ars Technica, for choosing.
They really just need to take the nose out, and it's perfect.
Now instead of Data, I'll say the Lord
Wait a minute,
Voldemort.
that's an interesting
It looks
point.
like Grumpy Cat. Rest in peace.
Oh, rest in peace, sweet creature.
I wish I could illustrate this. Just take the nose out.
Yeah. You got like a
All right,
heel
Photoshop
function?
challenge. You've got a few minutes
Yeah.
before the show's over. Please, if you can, post it on Twitter at Leo Laporte, Mark Zuckerberg.
I mean, I could probably
This
do it right
image, nose. Just use the healing tool.
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
heal the nose.
now. I'm going to heal away the nose.
Heal the nose, ladies and gentlemen.
As you do.
I love Harry Potter references.
I know. I wonder if Facebook has a dossier on Snapchat called, I don't know, Project Snape. I mean,
wow, that would be truly deranged.
Snapchat is not much better than Facebook, is it? I like this one.
Well,
two proposals by Elizabeth Warren. I know we don't like to talk about politics, but actually this is an important one. First of all, she says we should hire an army of nerds. Okay.
Wait, is that the quote?
I like it already. To defeat Google's lobbyists.
Yeah.
And the army of nerds she's talking about is actually a big deal. The Office of Technology Assessment. Newt Gingrich killed this 20 years ago. This was I think, a very valuable group designed to help Congress understand technology. If you complain that your member of Congress doesn't get technology, and you would be right to, we need to bring back the Office of Technology Assessment, established in the 70s, to give nonpartisan, informative information about science and technology to members of Congress so they could vote appropriately. Gingrich led a successful effort to dissolve it in the 90s. Warren says we need to reinstate, and I know many others who agree, the OTA to help lawmakers grapple with policy issues that are increasing. And so what you're seeing is ill-informed members of Congress going after Google and Facebook. Give them some, information. So, I mean,
the internet's like a series of pipes.
Yeah. But it's not much better. I mean,
It'd be like that.
When they were talking to Zuckerberg last year, Senator Roy Blunt bragged about putting his Facebook address on his business cards. Hatch questioned the company's business model. Orrin Hatch, resulting in the Senator, our business model, we run ads, remark from Mark Zuckerberg. They need to know more. They need to know more. They need to be better informed. So I like that.
They need to start. I mean, there's already a science advisory group, right? But no one takes them seriously, unfortunately. But like the government totally needs this because, these people making these decisions about technology are just really kind of clueless. And listen, I get it. You get a certain age, you're busy, you can't keep up with this stuff. That's totally fine. Everybody needs to be an expert on this stuff. But I mean, they should absolutely be listening to people, or at least getting advice from people who do this for a living and have some input on it, because they're legislating on it. And it's totally crazy. Even the FCC stuff lately has been totally off the wall. Yeah. And so there needs to be cooperation between the industry and government without lobbyists throwing money around who are clearly influencing these decisions.
I completely agree.
I just know if I have to watch one more congressional hearing and there's a senator that asks, how do I log into my Facebook account and change my password or something to that effect, I'm truly that'll be the end of my life. That's it for me.
Yeah.
Real quick promo. We're going to Boston. Steve Gibson and I will be in Boston for an event LastPass is putting on Thursday at the Intercontinental. 2:45 p.m. It's a free event, Cybersecurity and Identity Trends Unlocked. It's basically the future of authentication. What's next after passwords? Steve Gibson will be there, but so will Bill Cheswick, the legendary Bill Cheswick, who is the man who invented the firewall and has written a number of posts on the ACM about what's wrong with passwords and how we can do better. And Jerry Buchelt, who is the CISO at LogMeIn. This will be a fun event. It is free, but tickets are going fast. In fact, by the time you hear this, it might be too late. But if you would like to go, please, twit.to/unlocked. Twit.to/unlocked. The nice thing about this is everybody who attends will get a token worth $100, and they can throw it in a jar that'll choose from one of 3 charities, LastPass.
Neat.
So it's a charity event, which I think is great. And I think it's going to be a great time. There will be an hour-and-a-half panel with questions, and then at the end of the panel, kind of a cocktail party reception that we can all talk for an hour or so. Please join Steve Gibson and me and Bill Cheswick and Jerry Buchelt this coming Thursday, 2:45 p.m. at the Intercontinental. You can't just show up. You need tickets, so go to twit.to/unlocked. And lo and behold, on my Twitter feed, have you posted it? Mm-hmm. Have you posted it? Let me see. I got to look at my, I don't know. How's this Twitter work?
There you go.
How does this Twitter work? There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Voldemort.
Quick and dirty.
Oh.
Well done. Creepy.
That seems like the book version of Voldemort.
Wow.
Wow.
Nerd alert.
Nerd alert.
Okay.
That's the book Voldemort, not the movie Voldemort. Let's just be clear. And that, my friend,
Just stating the facts.
is Caroline Haskins. Caroline, so great to have you. Thank you. Staff writer at Motherboard, which is the absolute best place to get security and tech news. That you guys just knock it out of the park every time.
Thank you.
And you can follow her on Twitter. I guess she ran out of characters. Caroline HA _
Well, there's a Caroline Haskins who's not me.
How dare she?
Yeah.
That's your name.
Yeah.
All right. No, I like it. Caroline Ha _
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hey, great
It's
to
a
have
little jaunty.
you. It is jaunty.
Thank you.
I like it.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. Thank you to Daniel Rubino, Windows Central Executive Editor. You're going to have a busy day on Wednesday. We'll all be going to windowscentral.com and following you on Twitter, Daniel _Rubino, to see what's new. Should be exciting. Right. Anything else you'd like to plug while you're here?
Yeah.
You got a podcast? Are you moving from Pandora?
Yeah, you move.
we do it every Friday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time on mixer.com/windowscentral.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So you do video too. See, I'm not the only one. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Video.
Mixer.com/windowscentral.
What a novel idea.
What a thought. Here's the guy launching the new audio-only podcast.
Mm-hmm. You can
Smart Tech Today.
Smart
STT.
Tech Today. Yeah.
Twit.tv/STT.
That is correct.
You can subscribe now.
You can subscribe now. You can get it later as it publishes in audio, but you can watch live if you want to see the video. And shout out to my boy Gemmy. Stay tuned for Hands on Tech this week, where we review
the Twerking Bear.
The Twerking Bear.
In a way that you just have to see to believe.
Let's just say it involves some slow-mo.
Oh, God. Mike, also the host of iOS Today every Tuesday with me, every Thursday with Jason Howell. He does tech news this week. And we thank you so much for being here, all three of you. Thanks to our great studio audience, too. It was nice to have you. I always want to thank the long-suffering spouses for joining us. I don't know if that's Jessica or Christian who suffered today, but Christian. So Jessica dragged you. I like it. From Seattle, welcome. And John from Vienna, Virginia, home of America Online. You've got mail.
Ding.
Ding. If you want to visit us in studio, it's easy. Just email tickets at twit.tv. I do encourage that, though. As you know, I'm going on vacation in a few weeks. So that might affect your decision to come visit.
No, it won't.
No, because you want to see Micah.
Me.
Yeah. But email tickets at twit.tv. We'll send you instructions to our secret lair and all of that stuff. You can also watch us do the shows live at our live stream, twit.tv/live. We stream audio and video. This show, around about 2:30 Pacific. That would be 5:30 Eastern, 21:30 UTC every Sunday evening. We get the podcast out Sunday night, so you can get it first thing in the morning for your Monday commute. You can get that at twit.tv, our website, or subscribe in your favorite podcast application. Actually, that's the best thing to do. That way you don't miss a single episode. And yes, you can also chat about the episode, not only in our chat room, irc.twit.tv, but the new Twit community forum.
Check out twit.community, folks.
It's kind of exciting, this new thing. They call them forums. All the kids are using them. Thanks, everybody, for being here. We'll see you next time. Another Twit.
This is amazing.
Bye-bye.